Wait, I forgot to kind of get that one in frame.
Yeah, we gotta get...
Okay, anyways.
Yeah, so we have to start at the end. To
As
talk
all
about,
good stories do.
Right. Toy Story to Stitch to Cars to... They all start...
Men in Black to...
If we're going to talk about the direction that Sonic 4 is going, we have to talk about the ending of Sonic 3.
Yes.
And what the happened at the end of Sonic 3. Because it's obviously not entirely 100% crystal clear.
Yeah. The main thing being... Well, the main two things being Metal Sonic showing up really fast.
Yeah.
And
an army.
Not knowing that if Eggman is or is not alive.
Yes. Yes.
Which has also the real world side of not knowing if Jim Carrey wants to come back for his life. Did they actually blow him up in space? Probably.
Probably, most likely. He is a method actor, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched Man on the Moon. That was... It's we're not talking about that. Yeah, no, it's so... those are probably the two big things, right? Because the Metal Sonic thing is you need to immediately figure out who made that, because this is happening immediately after Eggman died.
Right.
Where in the games, Eggman made him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I don't know jack about nothing.
Yeah.
But I know in the comics, I'm pretty sure Eggman makes them too. So,
Yeah, no,
it's just canonical that Eggman makes Metal Sonic. So to see him in an army, your first thought has to be Eggman is alive, or how. Amy comes up, where does she come from? Mm-hmm. What's going on with that? And then, is Shadow alive, and where is he alive? Because we don't know that either.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because you were saying, whenever we were talking about this at one point, you were saying you wouldn't be surprised if, I'm pretty sure this was us talking about it, that, a good amount of Sonic 4 might not even be on Earth.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to be on Mobius. Mm-hmm. Or wherever the this place is called, because they've decided to...
For it to not...
just be an alien planet?
Mobius was, a Western thing. And then, even though it's the coolest name ever for Sonic's planet, but as far as official Sonic goes, they've always been really scared to say what the planet is. I think even in Sonic Adventure 2, they call it Earth, but it's always lowercase.
Yeah.
So
it's really strange. It's this weird alt reality, whatever you want to call it. We'll call it Hedgehopolis.
Okay. Sure, we will. I'm sure neither of us will forget that. Mm-mm. So, Megan is convinced that most of the movie will take place on Hedgehopolis. which is quite possible.
Here's why. One, we don't quite know where exactly Shadow is at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. We just know that he's alive.
Yeah.
And
at the beginning of Sonic 1, the Sonic planet, aside from having all the Green Hill stuff, it just looks like Earth.
Yeah, so. It looks very similar. There's not it's not like the Mushroom Planet where you're this is clearly some weird biome or whatever. Yeah. It looks like Earth. Yeah. So I could buy it. We also don't know where exactly Eggman is, because I feel like if the implication is that Shadow's alive somewhere else, he could also be there with Eggman. And we'll obviously get more into it, but I do think that he's alive and he created Metal Sonic and brought him to Earth. And because I'm just now realizing, I don't know why I didn't put this together at all until right now. I don't think at the end of Sonic 3 they get the Chaos Emeralds back. I think Shadow had them the whole time. Yeah,
because he was super
he had him
when he
because
died.
he was in. Yeah, he had him because he was in super form.
Yeah.
So we also don't know where the Master Emerald is.
Because there was the first episode of Sonic X where it was they were on the Sonic planet.
Yeah.
And then he used the Chaos Control. He hit the button.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning of Sonic Advance 2.
Yeah. Very epic.
He's like that, and then it warped all of a chunk of their world.
Yep.
To Earth, and so they could be doing that, which I always thought that was cool. I always thought that was a cool explanation for why there would be Sonic characters and real humans together.
I think the beginning of Sonic X was really cool, and I actually think that that's going to be how the next movie kind of starts.
It shows what happened immediately after the Ark explosion.
Yep, I think it's going to take a lot from the Sonic X because Sonic X blended so well with Sonic Adventure 2, and since obviously they liked that and they used that for Sonic Adventure 3, I think that's such a good way, like you said, to explain how all the Mobians came to Earth. And again, we see Shadow at the end, but we know that the Chaos Emeralds aren't there. Yeah. So I think he could have Eggman could have gotten the Chaos Emeralds, done his fucking machine, whatever it is, and then started some kind of something.
Or it even could have just been some, like, the explosion with Super Shadow.
Yeah.
Just kind of made some weird time-space thingy.
Time-space continuum.
That kind of seems like a Sonic movie thing to just be like, that explosion made it time travel.
There's just a black hole, a wormhole,
Right.
There's a portal, it's...
But that leads in the next thing I was going to say, which would help explain the Metal Sonics regardless, would be that time travel will probably... At first, I was like, I don't know if they're going to do time travel, but Sonic CD technically had time travel, even though there wasn't like a lot of fanfare. It wasn't like a part of the plot. It was just like a game mechanic. But I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to introduce that, because there are a couple Sonic games that have like actual time travel in it. So if they want to, like, say eventually get to Sonic 06 as like the 5th movie or something like that, then having time travel already be a thing might be something that they want to do.
And see, I think that could be easily established because you're assuming that all of this is happening right after the end of Sonic 3. They go on the camping trip, and then Metal Sonic shows up.
Which it seems like, because they continue the party
right
from the beginning.
Which, again, to me implies that... But there are a couple instances in the movie... This is completely unrelated, but there's a couple instances where the time...
It's really hard to tell.
You don't know if it's been a couple years or a year, or like what exactly?
I think it seems like... Because I've watched it a couple times, it seems like it's been... the like real amount of time
that's what I think, like
in
the 4
Earth, like
years.
it's been like 4 years or so, and it's just like kind of weird that
they just chose to do the Earth Day
birthday thing like this time for the first time. Who knows, man.
I think the time travel would work because obviously we're seeing the events, the post credits or the end of the movie. It's happening right after, the explosion and everything. If we are going to assume that Eggman created a Metal Sonic army, obviously that would take some time. The only way he could send them to Earth would also have to be back in time. If those events, lined up the way they do. So I think you can assume time travel. You can assume that, there's going to be the interdimensional thing. I do think, Amy Rose is going to be the time traveling warrior that comes back, the Trunks, if you will, to come and try to save Earth from Eggman's robots. But you also have to hinge that on Eggman being alive or whatever they're going to come up with,
Because another thing that I thought initially, because the Eggman send-off scene seemed pretty final to me, unlike Sonic 2's, because it had like the emotional payoffs and stuff.
Later, hater.
Right. But also my main thing was like thinking Jim Carrey supposedly almost didn't want to come back for 3. And
it seemed like he had fun.
And it did. Yeah. He said many times that he likes playing the character. So, but I don't know if
he has officially said too he'll come back. From what I've seen,
maybe. But I don't know if it's like 100% a guaranteeable thing. Because that also might depend on like who they want to get for Amy and stuff. And if they do go like A-listers, like the expenses will probably be piling up more and more. Especially
if they do
with
decide
Jim
that
Carrey.
Lady Gaga is the best,
right? Of course,
it's a musical,
right. Right, I know that.
The first thing they cover is Eye of the Tiger. That would be a good one.
It's a jukebox musical.
Yeah.
It's not no original music.
No,
that makes sense. No Sonic songs.
No,
definitely not Sonic Boom.
No,
that would be a bad idea to put in the Sonic CD movie. I think they do a great job to avoid that catastrophe.
But yeah, if Jim Carrey comes back.
But no, I was gonna say, I still think it's kind of a little up in the air whether or not Eggman will come back, mostly because of Jim Carrey and also them maybe wanting to make more room for more Sonic characters coming in. So I think the other two alternatives, my initial thing was like maybe Gunn will be the main antagonist because Kristen Ritter's character has been pretty set up to really hate Sonic and pals.
For some reason.
Yeah.
No, I mean...
she's racist. What do you mean for some reason?
Against Hedgehogians. Hedgehovians? Hedgewhatifins? Hedgehog. See, I don't know if it's just because I'm too jaded or what, but I didn't really think the Eggman send-off was particularly emotional. I mean, yes, it was emotional. I think it was very nice. I think it was a good scene, and I did like it showed his arc, so you do see his arc. It's a nice send-off, but I just feel like too much was left with Agent Stone just kind of leaving. Now,
Well, I was going to say the other thing that I was assuming was Agent Stone.
Agent Stone becoming the next Eggman.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I enjoy Eggman in the movies, especially after the third one. And so I think I would like for him to stay in the movies. But at the same time, if they want to keep making it more complex, because again, they were clearly setting stuff up with Kristen Ritter and like Gunn.
Yeah.
And then again, I think there's also room for Agent Stone. Like, it seems like he might do something more independent. And then again, now we're adding Amy and Metal Sonic and potentially other characters. I don't know if Rouge is going to get added to the next movie.
See, I think so. I think if not teased at the end, I don't know. Because again, I feel like
if Rouge gets added to the next movie, it'll be because they did the Shadow show potentially, and she might get introduced in that.
Yeah, if there's going to be a bridge show like there was with Knuckles, and there's like this Shadow,
which would be nice. I would be so happy if there was a Shadow show.
I would like that, and hopefully it's a little bit better than the Knuckles show.
Right? Yeah, very that cool. Would be nice.
But yeah, if there was like a gap Shadow show, I think that would be the perfect time to have a Rouge character. The movie's been out for a couple months now. If they did something like that, I think that would be a great opportunity. But I don't know. I'm not like super hopeful that will happen. And I don't know why. It's just my gut telling me.
Yeah.
It's just my feelings. But I think if Gunn is going to be our main antagonist in the next movie, if Eggman really is gone, and we have Kristen Ritter. Not Christine. Okay. I'm thinking Christina Hendricks. If we do have Kristen Ritter as our main antagonist and we do have Gunn, then I think that's the perfect time to have Rouge introduced. I would think she absolutely would, because I don't see why not. Because she is such like, an integral part of the team, especially not just for Team Dark, but like, I mean, shit, like on Sonic Prime and stuff, she's like there. She's a main part of the quartet, which is an interesting choice because. Yeah,
that's a little weird that the games have been kind of doing that lately.
Yeah, in the games have, but because I guess she's another female character.
Well, I know that's why.
But it is weird canonically because it's like, okay, I thought she was like secret agent, jewel thief.
Yeah,
but I think she'll be introduced if that's the case.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at is I was saying I don't know if she's going to be introduced because I am now like I'm leaning towards thinking Eggman will come back for the fourth movie. But I think if he doesn't, there would definitely be room for it. If he doesn't, it'll probably be gun focused. And if it's gun focused, for sure, I think Rouge is going to be in there. But if Eggman's back, I don't know how much gun they can get into the movie. And so I don't know if Rouge is actually going to be in it. Well,
of course, if you're splitting the movie up between, let's say the Metal Sonics have come from Hedgehopolis.
Oh, okay.
The future Hedgehopolis from Mobius. If they have come from another planet, you could easily have Eggman, whoever that guy is on that planet, and then you have your Earth antagonist, which is Gunn. And, if they're switching between those things, you could have
Which I guess that could be worth that. That would
because we kind of did that in Sonic 3. The whole time they've got Gunn chasing them while also going against Eggman and Gerald. So
yeah,
you can have the two separate entities at the same time. I think it would be easier to do that if they had like dual, like one on Earth and one off planet. But
yeah, I could see like if it was the two planets thing, that would be a good way to kind of give Shadow something to do, because you can't add Shadow to the main three.
No, it doesn't.
And not just because of like the dynamics or anything. Like I would love to see that. That would be fun to see scenes with all four of them together. But the point is just Shadow's just like way too strong. Like it's like the
He's
Goku Vegeta thing where it's like if you put them together, it's kind of hard to worry about anything.
They're just
happening.
Gonna win all the time.
So Shadow I think would definitely probably have to have his own B plot, which probably could be the gun stuff. And so so it could. The next one probably could basically just be like two small movies happening at the same time, which would be kind of cool.
That would be I think that would be an interesting way to go, so that you still have Shadow in the movie, is having him take care of one plot while you've got our heroes in the other. That would be interesting.
I would hope like if they did do that, even though it sounds cool, or I think the thing with it is like you can't get very messy with either of them. Like you can't get super complicated. They both I think would need to be pretty simple plots, because What I would love is if they did a Shadow series and it was based on Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Because, they set up that he was an alien in this and that he came from the comet and
Having
stuff like
Black
that.
Doom be canon in the movies would be so
That would be
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that could only happen with like a solo Shadow thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Which would be a show. And again, I'm also not very confident that they're going to actually do a show. Which sucks because I would like love that.
It would be
so
really
much.
cool, yeah.
But yeah, so I think if they give Shadow like B-plot gun stuff to deal with, it would probably just be gun in general and not have much to do with his canonical backstory.
Yeah.
Or it would be like a very, very simplified version of his backstory.
Yeah.
Kind of like, because I mean, they did that in Sonic 3 already.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's not like, he wasn't made by Gerald in that. They were
Yeah.
like, he's just an alien in this one.
And we still don't really even have confirmation. I mean, you could assume that he's from the same planet as Sonic, but we don't really know because they were so vague with like, he showed up in a meteorite.
Right.
And we dissolved him in Sprite, and here he is. He woke up.
It's like one of those videos of those dudes like pulling up with their car hood, just pouring a full thing of a 2-liter Coca-Cola in there. And it's like, it's always one of those like super country Southern dudes who has no shirt on, completely sunburned.
Always. Except it's Gerald Robotnik.
Right. Okay, that's really funny.
That's gross.
That's good. I like that.
I don't.
Love that.
So we don't even know really where Shadow's from. Again, I think it's safe to assume he's from the same planet as Sonic. And with the Shadow spin-off, it would be nice to go into that too, to make it known, yes, they're from the same place. Yes, they're related. Yes, they're whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be even crazier too, since they're both hedgehogs, if the passage of time in Mobius is different and like him and Sonic are actually brothers.
They're actually the same guy.
They're the same guy, which would be insane. But it would be kind of cool, like, okay, he's, that was 50 years ago Earth time, but maybe, while Sonic was being a little tiny tyke in Mobius, that was 50 Earth years. I don't know. I'm just throwing out stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, don't get on my case.
Yeah.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, I'll cut it out. I'm sorry.
So we really don't even know where he's from. And knowing more of his backstory would be cool because he's a cool character.
Do we assume? I would assume that with Amy, this movie is going to get more into like the Hedgehog specifically, because the second movie talked a lot about the echidnas.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping. As like
a tribe,
because we know about the echidna tribe.
And we know and we assume that the Hedgehog group, the Hedgehog huddle, was up in some way because Sonic was being taken care of by Longclaw, and you don't see any other hedgehogs.
Right, and again, these are the kind of questions that when I watch these type of lore movies, I'm always wondering. I'm like, just tell me, just explain it. Like, I don't want the mystery of what is happening and why is the last of his kind.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I hate thinking about things.
I hate it.
It sucks,
I hate it so
right?
much. Yeah, does it make you angry too? No, I like being spoon-fed like constantly. Yeah, just spoon-fed shit. I eat pieces of shit for breakfast
all the time. There's no time for thinking about movies.
I have to eat my shit. But I do like, when things like that are introduced and then they come back later. I'm okay with waiting. I can be patient, but, the is he doing being brought up by an owl?
Yeah.
What is this going on?
Yeah.
Now we've got this alien who looks like him from another planet.
Yeah.
And we've got a girl version of him showing up, supposedly from the other planet, we're assuming. So, are we going to get some hedgehog backstory? Tell me.
Yes. I would assume that with Amy, this movie is going to get more into like the hedgehog specifically, because the second movie talked a lot about the echidnas.
Yes. Look, it takes a minute for things to sink in. That's
right.
all.
No, it's fine. I'm not
Sonic
scared.
4.
Right. No, okay. But no, that was kind of something that I was thinking too, especially because like you see Shadow at the end of Sonic 3 and that's just like, oh, that's going to be Shadow. Shadow's like story is very tied to like Earth specifically, like very kind of like cyberpunk story with Shadow, like
very
existentialism
Matrix.
And things like that. And very like science fiction. So all that stuff is very related to Earth. So there was like zero lore in this movie.
Which was weird coming from Sonic 2. Where
I didn't even notice it, but it's like once Amy and Metal Sonic show up, that's when you realize you're like, oh, I have a lot more questions about this
Yeah.
than I did whenever I saw Shadow.
Yeah.
And same with whenever you saw Tails at the end of the first movie, it was like, oh, how are they going to do that? Especially because the first Sonic movie was like 0% Sonic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, so you're like, oh, now that they're actually putting in more stuff. Like, watching the first Sonic movie, before you see that end credits, it's almost just like, I was fully under the assumption that they probably wouldn't even add the other characters. I thought it was just going to be like a live action movie with a if they ever made a sequel, it would just be more of like the same, where it was like totally different thing, where it's like Sonic's
it just
friends
happens
don't
to
even
be
exist.
a blue hedgehog who's fast, who goes on adventures.
Well, yeah,
it's
and
like, okay,
because like that's the vibe of the first movie. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't really build up any of the stuff leading to the next
Yeah.
ones. Which I guess, you know, of course they do, because they don't know if the movie's going to bomb,
Well, yeah.
especially with the original design.
Yeah.
You don't really... I mean, you don't know how well people are going to take it at that point. It's like, are people going to be too excited? So maybe we shouldn't even make a second movie after
like
how
they're
good
so
this one's
excited
going to
they've
be.
already their pants.
Yeah, and they're all
it's
like,
like,
well,
I'm all
I
out
don't
of
need to go
pants.
now.
This guy has 2 pairs of pants.
This guy's... but no, so yeah, I had the same thought though, which was like, once I saw the post credits of 3, I was like, okay, next movie is probably going to be a lot more like the scenes where Knuckles was talking about the Echidna tribe, and you get that cool like 2D scene where it was like the
that.
animatic, where the guy was like beating out of Longclaw or whoever that was.
That was cool.
Well, it's like all of the source material
Yeah.
for Amy and Metal Sonic is similar to like the first 3 Sonic games,
Right.
which is to say like very minimal storytelling,
Yeah.
like direct story. Like
Yeah.
Sonic CD, the 2 main games that you would get out of like a Metal Sonic Amy thing would be like Sonic CD and Sonic Heroes. And both of those basically don't even have like stories, really. It's just like you're playing through and then things happen like at the end.
Yeah.
And so it's like Sonic 2, where they have a lot of room to be like, we could just put in a bunch of for our own like movie universe.
For my own amusement.
For my own.
But yeah, so I think this is going to be a lore heavy movie. I loved that Sonic 3 was mostly Sonic Adventure 2 because obviously it's one of my favorite games.
Yep.
And it's a fun storyline too.
Yeah, it's one of the most like full stories of a
Yes.
Sonic game for sure.
So I think that this one will go back more into, okay, the world they're trying to develop as a film series, you know, because obviously that's a little separate from the games. But I really want to know like the differences between you know, the Echidna tribe, Knuckles going on. I remember kind of a little bit from Sonic Adventure, like Tikal and all the ancient Echidna tribe, you know. Obviously they don't talk about the newer tribe, but so Knuckles' backstory is interesting.
Yeah, well, in the games it's kind of like,
and I don't, does Longclaw exist like in the comics or anything?
Longclaw is like fully, I think.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
So
but it's a very comic-y type of character, like Archie
seem,
comics,
it
like
was
weirdo
very Archie
character.
comic coded. Yeah, and I was like, this is strange enough that I'll buy it. But so obviously, like the films are coming up with their own canon and their own lore, while also mixing it with you know,
because even like that battle scene in Sonic 2 where it was the 2D animatic with the echidnas against the owls, it was like, I think some of that was like pretty heavily inspired by some Archie stuff. Like one of the characters in there, I think, was like really similar to an Archie character.
Okay, see, that's where I get uncomfortable with Sonic.
Archie, yeah. Me too. Did I ever show you the like disgusting picture I drew of Sonic that was like in my brain, where like I remembered how he looked in Archie? Oh, my phone's over there. Damn it.
You just need to just put it up on screen. I'll see it. Don't worry.
It was,
wait, I'll react to it.
Was
just
so,
here, put it up on throw it up on screen.
Yep, it's back there.
Oh, it's back here. Oh.
Ugh.
It'll pick the best. Pick the back the back reaction.
That was like a 2007 video game death.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn, not here.
No. That's my favorite, what he does in Sonic Adventure.
I like the playtime is over. I like that one.
Disappear.
Yeah, that's a good one. I forgot about that one. I can't get my ass up that far. I'll fart. Air ASMR.
Okay, we need to get back on track. Definitively, we think the fourth one's going to be a pretty lore-heavy movie. I think it's also going to touch more on the Chaos Emeralds and Master Emerald because
I hope so.
Because I'm just now, again, like I said earlier, I realized that Shadow presumably still has them, which probably means that what they're probably going to do is like Eggman gets them whenever, whenever like the time rift explosion happened or whatever.
See that would be my prediction. Because good point. Because he was Super Shadow when he passed, and then
sayonara, Michelle. This is what you wanted, right? Dude, why did that meme ever die? Like Barack Obama as Shadow the Hedgehog. Was that ever gone?
Funny. That was it. Hey,
that was a good one.
times. Classic meme times.
Classic meme times.
It's like the Happy Days commercial, but it's happy memes.
I don't know that.
Oh. Is that like Corey in the house?
Hey, man, let's not open that can of worms. I'm serious. It's time to move on. Shadow's been dead for years now. Since 2001.
So, yeah. Shadow has the Chaos Emeralds. I still think that, again, a good segue would be Eggman somehow procuring those emeralds. And
I fully do think it could just be like the explosion itself just like sent them both in different like
scattering.
Time space
like a Dragon Ball scenario.
It could even be a thing where like the emeralds got separated from both of them, like all of them went to different places.
Now that
and
would
like
be
over years or something, like Eggman collected them.
Yeah,
through like space or something like that.
I'm still interested.
Because he made a whole army of Metal Sonics, presumably. This is a prediction video, so we're just gonna run with the time travel thing.
Because I like
that. I think
I like that, and I want it to be the truth.
The most likely, especially because the Sonic CD stuff, probably leading into Sonic 06, which is probably the next thing they would want to do after. Because also if they're doing like, if we look at the pattern, if there is going to be a pattern, which is like the second movie was lore movie, third movie was like a story adaptation of one of the games specifically. Fourth one's obviously going to be not a direct adaptation of any game because there isn't one to fit all this stuff. Right. Then if they wanted to do the next one, it would most likely be Sonic 06.
Which that's because that's what we're thinking, right?
Because the next one that like has an actual story would be Shadow the Hedgehog, and they're not going to make a movie out of that.
Right.
Like maybe they'll make a show out of it, or maybe they'll just like incorporate elements of it into 4 and 5.
Yeah.
But I do think 06 would be the next one that they're doing.
And again, I think the way they do that is smart. Having Sonic 2 be a really lore-heavy movie that kind of sets up the that sets up the elements.
Do you know how long I'm going to make you do that in editing?
But the fact that Sonic 2 was so heavy on developing their own lore that set up the elements for Sonic 3, they were able to introduce more game canon events that tie in with their setup lore. And with Sonic 4, they can go back to setting up their world and doing their world building while also segueing into, another game-centric movie. Which is why I think that's going to be, that would be a really good progression, is having Sonic 4 set up elements that still make the movie franchise its own thing in its own universe, while also being able to explain, say they do Sonic 06 for Sonic 5 movie. They're able to set that up and make it make sense. So I kind of like that formula of that up and down kind of thing.
Because it's also nice because then it's like every other movie or show or whatever they decide to do, you can assume that you're going to get interesting original stuff where it's like, what is this team coming up with? And then after that, you can look forward to, I like this one game that has a cool story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it buys them time, right?
Right.
They have a movie where they have to write more original content, and then they have another movie where they can just adapt something. Yeah. So I think that would just be a really smart formula if they're going to keep doing that.
I wonder how long they're thinking that the movies and the Sonic thing are going to go. Because I mean, I can imagine with Sega and Paramount, especially with Paramount, because they don't have any movies at all that exist. Yeah. I can imagine them just being as long as they all make around as long as they are all making about $350 to $400 million at the box office, then we'll just keep making them.
But okay, so we've talked about talked about that.
Let's orient ourselves really quick.
We've said that we're going to run with Eggman being alive.
Eggman's alive.
Okay.
Eggman's alive. It's time travel.
It's time travel.
And he probably sent the Metal Sonics back to kill Sonic.
Yes. Because I think it's highly unlikely that Gunn created Metal Sonic. Mm-hmm. I think it would just bastardize the source material too much. And also, I don't really think it makes sense because Eggman is the robotics genius.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that Gunn doing that part would make sense. I feel like it would have to be Eggman.
I think they could. Or whatever. They could explain it. I think a way they could do it is like, obviously, Gunn has years of Gerald's research.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And
that's true.
Eggman was working for them for a long time until the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
So, and it's like obviously Eggman wouldn't have any time to make some kind of Metal Sonic schematics for Gunn because the second he met Sonic, he was fired.
He
basically
went rogue.
Right, but Gerald has a lot of years of research on Shadow.
That's true.
And so Metal Sonic could have even like something they could do is like it could have even been originally designed as like a Shadow android because that's like a thing that happens in the games.
Oh, okay.
So
see, that would be interesting.
So they could do that, but I don't know if I don't think they do that. I think that's just a little. Even though you could explain that quickly, it seems just like a little too much to go off of. The Sonic movies don't tend to like do that. Like they could have kept Shadow's backstory a little bit more similar in the movie, but they just chose not to. I think just for the sake of like avoiding needing like the singular line that has a lot of lore in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like let's make it very easy to understand and
I
stuff
think
like that.
We know that. Again, if Eggman's alive, he's still got Sonic's quill, which was the secret to unlocking, like, you know, his rocket at the end of the first.
I don't think he does.
Yeah, he does. He was holding on to it during the Gerald fight.
But didn't he, like, once he bug zapped him...
Stuck him in the asshole?
Didn't he go, like... That's part of why I was talking about, like, I think the Eggman thing felt pretty final, because he let go of Sonic's
You know, I'll be honest, I don't even remember that.
I think he did.
Okay. Interesting.
But he could have one of Shadow's quills.
True. Well, then that would change it a little bit. That's crazy.
That was a cool moment, by the way, in Sonic 3 when the quill changes when Sonic gets close. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. That was a neat little stylistic choice. And he
okay. Hey, that's f***ing Hedgehog. that of a hedgehog.
Yeah, so Shadow.
That of a hedgehog.
That's funny. So that's what we've established. Okay. So time travel, that's how he's done it. I mean, I think these are all easy enough explanations. Again, it all hinges on if you want Eggman to be alive. I want him to be alive. I want him to be in the movies.
Yeah, I would prefer him to be
part
alive.
of my that's part of my insistence on all this is I just want Jim Carrey to be a part of it. But I just think that makes the most sense because Gunn as an antagonist on their own, they're just boring. I personally, I think they're boring.
And it's more fun to have a singular, like, charismatic face.
Right. And Eggman has always been, this is where you show a picture of Eggman in case they forget who he is.
Right, yeah.
Eggman has always been Sonic's main antagonist.
Yeah.
Always. So I just think having a Sonic movie, even if you are trying to expand the lore and add new characters, not having Eggman just feels very Sonic 1 without,
right, yeah.
With Sonic's all by himself with no tails. It's like, okay, this doesn't really, it's Sonic, but is it a Sonic movie?
Yeah.
You know? So I just think that the spirit of the films would suffer heavily.
Whoa. I mean, the identity of the movies is pretty tied in with Jim Carrey being there.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, a lot of people don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't like Jim Carrey Eggman.
Yeah.
And definitely first movie, I was, like, mostly, like, not into it. But occasionally something funny would happen, and I'd be like, okay, that's not bad. Then second movie, I was like, okay, this is better. He played off Knuckles
very well
in that one. And in the third one, it was, like, maybe 2 jokes that I didn't think were funny.
The issue was he didn't have someone to play off of, really, in the first Sonic movie.
Yes.
That's, like you said, Sonic 2, he had Knuckles. Sonic 3, he has Gerald, and he's got Shot. So it's him not having someone to bounce off of and act as kind of a foil to him.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey doesn't really work unless you're just totally into that kind of humor.
Because the first movie, the most feels just like Jim Carrey was put on the set and they just let him do whatever he wanted to. And it was like anytime he was on screen, it was like you were aware that you were watching a movie instead of like being any kind of like immersed in it. Like the second you show up, be like, that's Jim Carrey.
Especially because everyone else takes the movie so seriously.
Yeah.
I do like by the time you get to Sonic 3, you've got the General Walters, Commander Walters.
Right.
You've got him taking them to the Chow Garden and being goofy as
right,
and then just, Shadow, story is a lot like yours, Sonic. Except where you experienced love and friendship, Shadow got AIDS.
And it was the 70s. So we really did. Well, I guess we still don't know how to deal with that too well. What I'm trying to say, Sonic, is that your diseases don't define you. And then I'm going to cut in the clip where he explodes and a table falls on him and he dies. Here's one half of a key to a nuclear device that could destroy the whole Earth.
Titus.
Titus.
That was funny.
I like the part where Shadow broke 6 of Tom's ribs.
Nasty. Getting ultra nasty.
Give me that back. Will you come on?
But yeah, so we have confirmed 2 new characters. We have Metal
Sonic. You and
Sonic.
I personally, through sleuthing and sort of investigative journalism type stuff.
Right, we've uncovered this. This is breaking news.
A lot of people don't know this. There's a whole scene after the credits play.
That's the breaking news.
Yeah, I'll play the Wonderful 101 theme. The what? Oh, Huey Lewis. And yes, I love that group.
Get back in time. Maybe that'll be the theme song. Ooh. Sonic 4 theme confirmed?
I know one of Ben Schwartz's favorite movies ever is Back to the Future.
Well, there you go. Actually, this might even be just based off of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
It probably, I would not put that past the Sonic movies.
Sonic has to run at least... Sonic has to run at least 88 miles per hour.
That's pretty easy for him, I think. I think he could do that.
Huh.
If Sonic the Hedgehog couldn't run faster than 88 miles an hour, lest he accidentally traveled through time, how lame would the movies become?
He's just
he's as fast as a car that goes faster than it's supposed to on the highway. Whoa! Oh, the police are catching up to him pretty fast.
He sure is a fast hedgehog.
Yeah, but as far as cars and stuff go, it's pretty manageable. Metal Sonic and Amy. Sonic CD is whenever Amy was added as the Minnie Mouse. Mm-hmm. And the only dynamic that they made was let's just have it not be where Sonic's interested. Yep. It's it's funnier if Amy is thinks he's the coolest and loves him, and then Sonic's
doesn't that make him so cool?
Yeah, I have to run really fast, and you can't do that. So this is actually going to be a huge problem for our relationship. And then in that exact moment, Metal Sonic puts Amy in a headlock and flies away with her. That's basically what happens in Sonic CD.
That's awesome.
It's the second level where she shows up. He just shows up, grabs her, and runs away.
Oh, wait. Her head fell off.
No!
They'll go to sleep in a minute.
But, so basically that's literally all that they got in Sonic CD.
Okay.
But obviously in Sonic CD, the plot is there's a tiny little planet that orbits whatever planet Sonic lives on at the time, which was clearly more of a fantasy planet before Sonic Adventure. Mm-hmm. It's a little planet that it's once every year, or it's once a month or something like that. It gets close enough to where people can go between them.
That's cool.
And it's a really cool, weird little planet with crazy gemstone biomes and stuff.
Gems.
It's very pretty. It's Sonic CD is a game that not a lot of people have played or even really know exists, but it really cemented the style of Sonic a lot, with the music and all the visuals and stuff like that. So it's it's a diehard fan favorite as far as just stylistically, it's really, really cool. And so that was sort of the main thing about it. And it's that also supports it taking place on another planet, a lot of it, because it probably won't be Little Planet or whatever, but probably will be like the same idea of Eggman going to a different planet to like try and conquer that first.
It's easier.
Right, yeah. Sonic is not on this one, which makes it much easier to conquer. He's the only thing that stops me from conquering an entire planet.
This hedgehog that can run up to 88 miles an hour thwarted me again.
But anyways, that's pretty much all of Sonic CD. And they're very simple characters. And Metal Sonic has no kind of like arc in that. It's not like the OVA where like he has like the
strange,
Sonic's,
isn't it?
Right, where like Sonic's personality takes over or whatever. He's just like fully an evil, really cool robot. And then, other than that, the only characterization he gets in the games is Sonic Heroes, which, like I said, there's not really a story to that. He's kind of like the secret antagonist. It's framed as like an Eggman thing, but it's like Metal Sonic is like collecting data from all the different characters to like get stronger. And so at the end of the game, he's like a super powered version.
He's
of
data
himself.
mining.
He's doing crypto and he's convincing all the other characters that they got to get in right
into
now.
4X.
Yeah.
Metal Sonic as a crypto bro.
Yeah. And then, which is probably what they're going to do. And so, which is why there's a million of them and they're all the same. They're all shitty and can't beat up anyone.
Yep. Yeah,
That's why they're all beta, clearly.
Beta cuck.
Right. But Metal Sonic's like kind of thing in that game is he feels very... It's the only game where they let him actually talk. Like his upgraded super form at the end can like actually speak.
That's cool.
And his whole thing is like he feels inadequate compared to Sonic. Like he feels like he wants to be like the real Sonic. Like he doesn't like being a copy.
Okay, he wants to be Sonic.
Basically be Sonic or more like prove that he is the better version of the two. And so Sonic is like the obsolete one. That's kind of his motivation in that. So do we think there's going to be like a main Metal Sonic that maybe is like the commander of the army?
I do. I think that...
I would be really upset if it wasn't like that.
If it was... Yeah, no, because I think it would be wasted opportunity if it was just... We just have this army of Metal Sonics. That's shit. That's such a waste of a good antagonist.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to do that, but if I'm remembering this correctly, I think someone on Reddit recently posted that you can see that I think it's the first Metal Sonic that he runs into.
Does that have
that
like a
attacks
number
him.
on it or something?
He's got like a different color scheme than the other ones.
He's
actually
I thought they
blue.
were all like blue.
No, like he's actually
blue. It's very dark though, so they
right.
probably did that on purpose.
They
to
like
make it
changed the
difficult
color or something, the color temperature on a screenshot. And I think you see that like the main Metal Sonic is like a blue and the other ones are like more of a silver, like gray or something like that. But I think there is a difference between difference.
Yeah. So that would be nice if there were like, again, I mostly just want there to be I want there to be one very cool Metal Sonic. I
want there to be one Metal Sonic because I like Sonic OVA and I want there to be one Metal Sonic who can redeem himself and maybe have like a sweet relationship with Amy Rose, which I'll go into later. It's because again, do you
remember that short that I showed you? It was the Christmas one.
Yes, I like that one a lot.
That's like one of the best Sonic things ever.
It's
I love
really
it.
cute. Link in bio.
Use our affiliate link to watch a YouTube video.
That's how YouTube works, right? Sorry, I'm old. But
is an affiliate link just any link that you post? I think I make money when you go.
I just start data mining if you click
right.
But because I really want to see a relationship between Metal Sonic and Amy, because Amy has the best personality for making friends
and we missed the shadow element from Sonic Adventure 2 where she is the one that kind of helps him realize what Maria really wanted.
We missed that, and that was that's a good emotional.
That would be a great place to actually use that in the next movie.
I agree, and that's why I very much hope that that's going to be the case, because that was something I really loved about Sonic Adventure 2 was her having that moment with Shadow. And then just like throughout the games and series in general, she's just always been a really good bridge between whatever dark team there is and then Sonic, whatever. So she's always a good, she's never a good, always,
never a bad,
never a bad, always a good.
Right.
Yeah, that one. Because I want to see Amy as being like very sweet and positive. Also, while being cool and kicking ass and stuff.
Yeah. I hope they keep her pretty close to like. I don't think they necessarily will, but the Sonic Prime Amy is pretty cool.
I like Sonic Prime Amy.
I like the Sonic Boom Amy.
Yes,
lot.
I also like Sonic Boom
because like she's cool and she's a part of the team and she's really tough, but they also like did not dial down at all her like incredibly basic white girl personality type stuff. Yeah. You know, like
the Bo Burnham version of basic white girl that is 100% Amy Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I like that element of her character.
I do.
Like I like her really like liking really girly things. And stuff like that.
Well, because the thing is, I feel like little girls need, because I mean, let's be real. This series is for little kids.
Yeah.
If you're watching this and you're not a little kid, which I hope you're not a little kid.
You're not, because I age restrict all of our videos, so don't worry.
Okay, good. You're not supposed to be a little kid, so go home. Do your homework. But
don't do that.
He dropped out of college. Don't f***ing listen to him.
I went. Well, no, I did drop out. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're watching this, presumably you're an adult, a little bit older
If you're
person.
watching this, presumably you're between the ages of 18 and 35. So.
Well, according to my YouTube statistics. But, and it's okay. You're allowed to like Sonic as a 30-year-old woman. It's all right. Yeah. But, obviously this is a series for little kids. And I think that little girls especially need a character that isn't just that girls get it done. They're so tough.
Right.
Everything I say.
The Black Widow type.
The Black Widow Marvel type.
Yeah.
Because it's okay to be girly. It's okay to like girly things. It's okay to be a little boy and like girly things too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that we need to take the one girl character that's on the team and say like it's bad if she's pink and she likes, you know, flowers and things like that. It's okay to be, you can be very feminine and also like have your giant hammer
and hit things with it.
Hit people straight in the asshole, you know.
Right. Take this, asshole.
Yeah. So I really hope they keep her character very girly, very femme, because I love that about Amy Rose.
Yeah.
You know, if they want to have the Black Widow adjacent character, I mean, that's going to be Rouge, like, obviously. Yeah. So, and that's fine. Which I also like that Rouge isn't that character either.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that right now, but I do like Rouge a lot as a very feminine woman character who is still very cool and doesn't have to be necessarily sassy.
I was like, there's a lot of like girl Sonic characters that are not super girly. Like
Charmy Bee. I didn't even know that was a girl.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but
could be.
Like Vector the Crocodile. Not girly at all.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
Jet the Falcon. No, is Jet a falcon?
He's a hog.
He's a hog.
Jet the hog.
Jet the.
I've been listening to what? I've been listening
Sparrow. That's the purple one. She's a sparrow.
Yeah, and I can't remember what her name is ever. Like
Feathers.
The big dude is Storm the Albatross, which is like how would I remember that?
Also, that's so bad, but that's badass.
It's really cool.
Storm the Albatross.
Yeah. But yeah, like what the is her name? I can never remember.
That sounds like an indie band name. Storm the Albatross.
Oh no! Now you've made it so much worse. That's so bad. Cherish the Fighter. It is not cool anymore.
Spank the booty.
But dude, okay, so I've been listening to the Sonic Riders soundtrack,
which is great.
Yeah. And I love like Jet's theme, which is the Catch Me If You Can one. But it's funny because it's like. I'm pretty sure, like, there's parts where, where they're, like, saying Jet's name and stuff, cheesy Sonic lyrics where it's just, like, some guy was hired and they were like, here's what I know is supposed to be happening. So I'm just, like, the Knuckles guy writing the Knuckles songs.
The Pumpkin Hill rap,
we're at Pumpkin Hill. I don't want to you, Rouge, even though you want to me. I say, yeah, right. Like,
no.
That's like the whole lyric. It's just like some guy has a little bit of information. Yeah. I'm pretty sure at parts they're like saying his name, and it's just like, Jet the Bird. Jet the Bird. That's not his name.
Holy shit. That's so funny.
Shadow the Hog.
Jet
the Bird. That's so insulting. Like Jet the Bird.
It feels very speciesist.
It really is.
So I want a girly Amy. I want a strong Amy. I do not want a Sonic obsessed Amy. Because obviously at this, me personally.
Oh, that's a good question. Do we think we think she's going to have like a crush on Sonic?
Do we think there's going to be a love interest?
Or do you think maybe they do it like they flip-flop it where like maybe Sonic has an interest in Amy?
That would be interesting. I think that would be kind of a nice little...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would kind of fit Sonic's personality of the movies more.
Because he's different.
He's a lot different. Yeah. Like the Sonic in the movies is clearly like very much cherishes like bonds between his friends and people and things like that, and doesn't like being alone.
Yeah.
Where most other versions of Sonic,
Yeah.
where most other versions of Sonic is like the exact opposite, which is just like, I would love to run to Sweden and sleep in a field for 11 days, and then maybe I'll come back.
Sonic Prime, he's like, what, you guys want to have a picnic on the beach and eat chili dogs? What are you, gay?
Yeah. Well, Sonic Prime Sonic is also kind of like, I love my friends.
Yeah, but only like in certain situations, though.
I'm mostly thinking like Sonic X Sonic, like
Sonic X Sonic
legitimately like we haven't heard from Sonic in 6 months.
Sonic X Sonic
because he just left and didn't come back. Yeah.
Yeah, he sucks.
No, I love him.
He's very cool.
He's the coolest.
No. So yeah, that would be an interesting twist if Sonic were to be the one that develops a crush on Amy. I mean, you think about it, she's like this cute girl hedgehog who shows up out of nowhere, and she's really powerful and cool, which is impressive.
He's never seen, aside from Shadow, he's never seen another hedgehog.
He's never seen another female hedgehog aside from Shadow.
Single, or not available, I should say. He is single, but he's not looking, I don't think.
He's not emotionally available.
Yeah, not right now. He doesn't have that much to work through.
I feel like he got a lot of closure.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that last...
It was like when I was worried about the whole like kidney thing that they told me about after all of my drinking.
Yeah.
But then I hit that guy with my car and I was like, wow, that's crazy how fast life can end. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, why worry about the kidney thing? I think that's probably what happened to Shadow.
Yeah.
Maybe neither of them are interested in each other.
Maybe they're actually both interested in Knuckles.
That makes sense to me.
Amy Knuckles? Kanami?
Oh, just Namey.
Namey?
Namey.
Namey. The K is silent.
Yeah, it
obviously.
is.
Like in Knuckles.
Right. You say the K. Knuckles, dumbass. But anyways, well, back to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a fun twist, and I think that would be I like that. You know, I like that idea. I like that idea of Sonic kind of having a crush on Amy. Personally,
and not like a big one, but like... Yeah. The kind where like it makes him more showboaty than he already is.
But yeah, I would like it if there's no love interest in the movie.
I was gonna say maybe I don't think there is, because even I was gonna say that the showboaty thing would be cool, but they kind of did that with Sonic 3 a little bit already, as far as like clearly by the end of Sonic 3 they were like, we want them to be a team, that they trust each other and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's more
I don't think they'll continue Sonic's arc of not being a good leader. So I think.
Because he has changed a lot.
The Amy thing would be, like, him wanting to impress someone would probably be more conducive to the story of him needing to learn to trust his friends more and not go off on his own.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to repeat that in the next movie.
I'm kind of hoping that she just sort of assimilates into the team.
Yeah.
And that they all just have, like, a good bond with each other.
Because the kind of the modern way that they do this Sonic and Amy relationship is like 85% good friends.
Yeah.
And then, like, they're both interested in each other, but they both get embarrassed when it gets brought up, and it's only ever brought up as a joke to make one of them uncomfortable for a second.
Sonic Boom,
like Sonic Boom is very much like that, and I could imagine it kind of being that sort of dynamic that they go for, where it's like very sparingly mentioned,
Lite,
and otherwise it's just like it's just part of the gang.
Yeah, because I like in Sonic Prime, where she's just it is almost kind of like a sort of older sister dynamic, kind of. Where she's just a little wiser, or she's more emotionally mature.
She's the mom of the group friend.
There you go. Friend. Yeah, she's the mom. Where she takes care of everybody. She's obviously more emotionally mature than Sonic, so it's less of an equal footing, crush like relationship, and more just like, I care about you because I love you because you're my friend. Yeah, and I'm gonna take care of you or whatever. Yeah, I like that a little bit more, but whatever. Plus, we've had 3 movies already without any kind of love interests. It would be kind of jarring, I think. Not like a bad thing, but I just don't know if it would really fit in with the tone of the last. And like you said,
I think the only way it would really fit in is if it was mostly used for like a couple gags.
Yeah.
And that kind of being it.
Yeah.
Which is the most I would ever want out of it. Like, I would also be fine if it was like mostly the Sonic Boom dynamic where it was just like not really said that often. I mean, that, and like I said, that's how the games are now with like Amy being the fourth of the main crew, basically. Like, that's kind of the dynamic, and I would be fine with that being there.
Yeah. Plus, again, I don't want focus to be taken away from developing her as a character while also doing whatever they're going to do with Metal Sonic. You know, and I think it would be cool to have a relationship between Metal Sonic and Amy, where obviously she's come to Earth to either, you know, help Sonic and friends or warn them about Metal Sonic, whatever it is.
Now, something I think that they're probably not going to do, or maybe would be for like a 10-minute sequence or something, would be like, you know, Amy getting kidnapped for a bit or something like that. I don't think they're going to do an Amy kidnapping, but do we have like, by the time Amy shows up, is there like a flashback scene where she was captured and kidnapped by Metal Sonic or whatever, and then, you know, the starting of Sonic 4 was like her freeing herself, basically.
See, again, like, I think you could go into, now this is also, I'm pretty sure, some Archie comics, I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend like I know, but also what I'm thinking in my brain, I think it'd be cool if Amy Rose, I could see her being like the lead of some kind of resistance on whatever planet they're on. Yeah. Yes, maybe she gets captured by Metal Sonic or something, trying to infiltrate their base or whatever, and maybe whilst at the base, while she's captured, there's some event, you know, that maybe at the time Eggman is sending his army, Eggmandy. Eggman is sending his army to Earth, and she's able to somehow, you know, go back with them. Yeah. You know, so that could be the event. Yeah. I think that would be a really cool way to start the movie. I think that would be neat.
Well, and I was bringing it up because what I was thinking was like, how can we get a dynamic between Metal Sonic and Amy? Yeah. Like, what scenes could we imagine where like they would have any kind of interaction without the other characters? Yeah. And I would think it would have to be some kind of like kidnapping.
It could also be the reverse. It could be Sonic and friends being kidnapped or something, or being, you know, decommissioned or something. I don't know, and her having to sort of face, you know, it on her own. I don't know. I do like the way that they introduced her, though. I would just like immediately kicking ass, so it's like you kind of know, okay, she's going to be able to hold her own, which is why I don't think she would be kidnapped at any point. But I agree with you. Like, what would they have to do to put them in a position where they would, like, you know, have like a heart-to-heart or something, whatever. So I don't know.
Well, and I don't even mean the heart. I just mean like any kind of relationship between the two, like even if it's antagonistic, other than like, because the one thing you wouldn't want is just like, Amy knows who Metal Sonic is because there's a whole army of them who wreak havoc and destroy things, but like Metal Sonic wouldn't know who Amy was because she's just one of the people, or like he only knows her as like resistance leader or something. Like,
which again is a big deal. I mean, you know,
which it would be, but I just mean that's a very like professional, non-personal.
Well, and it could be, you know, maybe he killed her entire family.
Yeah, maybe cut his dad's head off, set it on fire,
cut it right off. Killed her mom. We don't know.
That's probably what happened.
I mean, I think like we could see Metal Sonic pillaging her little village, you know, or whatever, affecting her directly in some way.
But again, what I want is there to be, because basically what I think I would want Amy to be the one who takes down Metal Sonic specifically.
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah, and cool. So if that were the case, I wouldn't want it to just be like, well, because everyone knows who Metal Sonic is, and he's a bad person, and I hate him. Yeah. It's like, I mean, that's fine, but I would rather there be like some, like they've had contact with each other and like had, you know, moments to actually speak and stuff. And so that's why I was bringing up the kid. So what do we think that scene would be, unless you don't think there's going to be a scene like that?
Well, you know, if it's true that Eggman doesn't have Sonic's quill anymore, what if he got his hedgehog power from Amy? What if somehow he, you know, she was already part of something? I don't know. Somehow Eggman captures her while he's on
she got Knuckles.
The planet. She got Knuckles.
Knuckles did.
And I don't think I don't think she would get Knuckles. I think she would literally have to get like kidnapped and trapped. And maybe he extracts her power from her and uses that to create metal. Because again, the only thing he had from Sonic was his quill. So if he doesn't have that anymore, and Amy just so happens to be also a very powerful alien hedgehog, you know.
And again, he could also have shadows.
He could, but if we're looking for a direct link between Metal and Amy, and that could be an interesting dynamic. I don't know.
Why'd you fart at me?
Why'd you fart?
I didn't. I never have.
Never will. So I'm gonna die of
you
severe
don't
GI
know how
issues.
uncomfortable it is.
It's really awful. I feel like I'm dying every day. So we're assuming that there is one main Metal Sonic. Again, this is just based off of online speculation.
Yeah. And also just what I want.
And what I want.
Yeah.
I want Metal Sonic.
Yeah.
So we're assuming there is one main Metal Sonic.
And like I mentioned about the Sonic Heroes thing, are we expecting him to have a Sonic Heroes type story? I feel like, like the whole... Well, there's the OVA version, which is like he eventually becomes more like Sonic. And then there's the Heroes version, which is I don't want to be like Sonic.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like the Sonic Heroes one is something that does kind of have to happen not in the game that he exists in.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's a little too fast of an arc to try and push.
Yeah.
So do we think we're going to go the OVA route, or do we think we're going to keep Metal Sonic as a pretty bad boy antagonist for the whole thing?
See, again, I would like him to have an arc. I would like him to have the opportunity to, because I just love Sonic OVA. There can only be one Sonic. I want Nickelodeon. And then you just get slimed. That'd be funny.
You pull out like a slime gun, but it has like so much force it like blasts me out of my chair. Just pow. Yeah.
That'd be funny. But yeah, so I would like to see Metal OVA personally, because I want him to have a little arc. I want him to have that ending where he's accepted that he's not Sonic, he's not as powerful, and he gets defeated and it's done. Because I don't really want him to be recurring. I mean, it would be fine, but I like him being a finite enemy.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't like how Metal Sonic is like stuck around.
No.
Mostly because like the longer he sticks around, the less cool he becomes.
Yes,
because
that's the thing,
he
right?
stops being the main guy.
Right. There's so many antagonists, I think, that are very cool because they get defeated.
Yeah.
Because they exist in that little blip of time.
Yep.
Cell is a really cool.
I was literally about to say Cell is awesome because he dies.
He dies and he's finally defeated, and you feel like very. It feels earned. It feels very like. It feels like closure to an arc in a story, and you can move on from there.
Yeah.
You've seen like your heroes prevail, whatever. And it wraps things up nicely. I like bows, on my stories.
I agree. And it would also make the future movies a lot cleaner and better if they don't keep adding characters that stay.
Right, because then eventually you're just gonna keep stuffing.
You're just gonna have too many.
Yeah.
To make like an hour-and-a-half movie with, because I don't think these movies are they're all roughly about
less
an
than
hour
2 hours.
50, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And so and I don't think they're ever gonna get longer than that.
And I kind of hope not. I mean,
it's a nice runtime.
Yeah.
I probably could have maybe used like 15 more minutes, like interspersed within
I could have
Sonic
used
3.
another hour probably of cool shadow content.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want that for Metal. I want him to die a horrific, awful, painful death.
Right. So the point being that we are thinking that his character is going to be pretty much the OVA Metal.
That's what I'm. Yeah. I think that would just be good because, we love an arc. I mean, again, with Eggman, he, regardless of whether or not he'll be in the next movie, you like that at the end of the last movie he gets a little humanity moment.
Yeah.
I think Metal is a great one to have that little moment of humanity at the end.
So we've covered what we think our Metal and Amy are going to be. And we've like kind of danced around like what we think the general plot is, but
some specifics.
But yeah, let's think like specifics. What's going to happen? Also, I just want to say this: Shadow the Hedgehog and Metal Sonic meeting and having like some kind of showdown, whether it be an actual fight or whatever, is something I've always wanted. Like a real serious one, because they're both so cool.
Yeah.
And they're both Sonic copies.
Yeah.
And they fill similar roles and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily like It's kind of hard to tell because the Sonic movies, especially once you get to like 3, but even 2, it's like clearly they're cool with that, the Dragon Ball like influence and stuff like that. Like clearly the makers of the Sonic movies are like, I know which people I want to see fight each other right now.
Yeah.
So I could kind of maybe see them trying to work in a Shadow Metal Sonic fight. However, in Sonic 3, we didn't get a Shadow Knuckles fight.
We didn't get a Shadow Knuckles fight.
So I feel like that would be something.
Well, we got a Knuckles ass kicking from Shadow.
We didn't get a Shadow Knuckles fight. All right, that's the end of it. I didn't get a fucking fight there.
I'm 1,000,000% muscle. And then,
yeah. I'm 1,000,000% muscle. And then. Konichi. Suck my ass, Knuckles. Kiss my ass, Knuckles. And then Sonic gave Shadow a chicken nugget. Did you see that? Did you ever see that?
I did see that commercial.
It was cute.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
But we didn't get a Sonic Knuckles fight.
But basically,
I mean Shadow Knuckles fight.
But yeah, so I don't think we're actually gonna get that. I just wanted to say that as like it's something I've always wanted.
It would be cool fan service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted. I swear to God, if I hear anyone be like, "What happened in the comics?" I'm not gonna read the comics.
I'm not. Yeah.
I'm not gonna read those weird ass up freak comics.
Okay, are we allowed to say that? Because I really want to say that. I don't care about the comics, and I don't want to know all the weird deep state lore.
So I don't think we're actually gonna get that scene. It's just something that I would really like.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do think Shadow, obviously, he's going to have a presence. I think he's going to stay in some kind of B story.
Yeah.
I like the idea of him kind of staying on Earth and having to deal with, like, gun and something they're cooking up or whatever. But, yeah, so, like, as far as the actual plot goes, I think it's pretty clear that it's, like, Team Sonic and Amy that are going to be dealing with Metal Sonic specifically. Do we think that, like, Team Sonic is going to stay together, or do we think there's going to be, like, decent chunks of the movie where, like, it's just Sonic and Amy for a while?
I don't know.
Maybe even that initial scene at the end of Sonic 3, like maybe it leads into like a we have to go right now type thing, and she just grabs Sonic and then...
See, well, I wonder, it all depends on how she got there, right? Because I think it would be cool to see...
I just thought of something that I would like.
No, I just had a flirt.
I just thought of something I would like a lot.
What's something?
It would be cool if that happened, if Amy had to like grab Sonic really quickly, or like she just didn't even know about Knuckles and Tails and stuff. She was like, it's Sonic, and then, you know, they go back into the future or whatever. And like the B plot is like everyone else from Team Sonic and like Sonic's family. They're looking for Sonic and they have to like team up with Shadow.
Ooh.
Like Shadow finds his way back or whatever. Or it is Earth and Shadow's there.
Yeah.
And because I would love to get some like Shadow, Tails, and Knuckles stuff. That's another thing that I would love to see more of.
Yeah.
So maybe at least for part of the movie, that's it. Or that could even be like that could even be like the whole movie, and then like the finale is like they all finally get back together.
Yeah, Toy Story does that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Where they separate the two main characters that everybody wants to see interact, and then they get 5 minutes of screen time. At the end. That would be really interesting. See, I was kind of thinking that this next movie would possibly use a lot of like Tails's intellect. Machine building. Either he'd have to make some kind of time machine. Him actually
figuring out the Chaos Emeralds and how they work and stuff.
Exactly. So I thought that there would be like maybe some of that mixed into it. But that would be kind of fun.
That would also give Tails a lot more to do. Like Tails had stuff to do in the third one, but he was the least utilized for sure. And both Tails and Knuckles took a pretty decent backseat, which is understandable. I mean, again,
surprisingly, Tails was the most subdued for sure.
Yeah. And so it would be cool to have like a really good reason for Tails to like be doing machine and smart shit.
Yeah.
Well, again, maybe Knuckles and Shadow have to like break into gun to like get some kind of equipment and stuff like that. That would be cool. I would love more Knuckles and Shadow stuff together.
They're just two really cool characters, and obviously like they cared a lot about them, introducing them into the franchise. So that would be really neat. I don't know. I'm also just kind of on the fence because as much as I would love for Shadow to like be part of a B plot or whatever it is, I'm also like not fully convinced that he'll be in the movie a lot. Like I could see that just being a thing.
I thought that before they showed that he was alive. I think the fact that they showed that he was alive is like you have to expect to be him in the movie. Like
okay.
Because remember, that's what I was saying before we saw that, like while we were watching the credits. I was like, I wonder if at the end of Sonic 4 they'll give a Shadow tease that he'll be coming back, in the future or something like that. So I do think he's going to have something like it could be like a 35% B plot.
Yeah.
Where Shadow is there.
Yeah.
You know, like the
Doing
B plot is.
important
Yeah, it's like it's not like an even split between the two.
Yeah. Oh, something I just thought about.
What's that?
What if it's not necessarily Shadow v Gun, it's Shadow working with Gun because they're trying to develop something against Metal? It would be a good way to introduce Rouge because he has to start working with a secret gun agent who is Rouge the Bat.
That would also be a good way to segue into Sonic 06 because he works for Gun.
Because he works for Gun, yeah. Well, in Shadow the Hedgehog too, right? Or
the end of Shadow the Hedgehog.
It's the very end.
Like
I remembered it was a part of it.
It is. It's like when you play hard mode on Shadow the Hedgehog, you get dialogue that's like clearly, oh, he has like a gun headset on right now. Okay. It's like before the end of the game.
Yeah.
He does not work for Gun.
Okay. But again, would be a good segue into it.
Yeah, that would be a good way to, because like I could believe that just after the events of Sonic 3, that like Shadow pretty immediately would be like, I've gotten over this and I'm very sorry for trying to, kill 9 billion people.
Everyone.
It won't happen again.
It won't happen again.
Konnichiwa.
Just over but that would be a good way to introduce Rouge the Bat, if that's what you're going to do. I'm all for all characters, because I do think that my caveat would be if Eggman isn't in this film, I would like all the characters. Just throw them all in there at that point.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like how I feel about it. If they are going to go off planet to Mobius, whatever the they're calling it, let's meet Big the Cat. He's going to be hanging out there. Amy has to save her friend Cream and the Chow that doesn't exist.
I would be so happy if you keep saying that. Look, the Chow Garden thing doesn't mean that the Chow don't exist.
But it confuses me. Then why? Then what is it?
What do you mean?
But if it's like Pokemon in universe, right?
Right.
Like they're just made up.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they could be based off like a real thing.
So maybe they came to Earth.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. Cream cheese.
Remember how they like lived around the Master Emerald and stuff?
They did. They danced.
Yeah, and they and then they got set on fire by the echidnas.
Yeah, that was really sad, wasn't it?
And Tikal was like, "No. Oh no! How did this happen? Oh God!"
It was pretty brutal.
And then Sonic, walked up because it was like the flashback where he got it, and he's like,
"You're too slow." Oh yeah, that's right. No, I mean I want the Chow to be real. I guess after seeing them in Sonic 3, I was like, oh, it's just going to be this little throwaway gag that they're these little in-universe like goofy Pokemon type characters.
You could write yourself out of that really easily,
That's
though.
True.
If they wanted to.
Because I would love to have a cream cheese combo.
Me too. I would
They're
love
cute.
Cream to be in the movie.
Cream
is my favorite. She's adorable.
Because
also,
she's such a good Tails, equivalent. She's cute.
Also, Cream, out of like every character that exists in Sonic, I don't know how many interact. Again, I've read very little of the comics, and I'm probably not going to. But Shadow interacting with Cream would be like the best.
That would
because
be very
she's
fun.
such like a Maria character.
Yeah. And again, I think that's kind of the interactions that they have, like in that.
And because it's also like that's the thing. Like ever since Cream has been introduced, a lot of people have been like, it's like Cream is like fast, and she can like keep up with everyone, but at the same time, it's like she clearly is like a little kid, and it seems like she's on really because in Sonic Advance 2, the whole story is about getting her mom back, so that makes sense why she's like there. It's Sonic Heroes. She's trying to get one of her Chow back, which is like that also makes sense, but it's a little bit. It's more like the Chow's just kind of missing. Like she doesn't know that it got directly kidnapped or anything like that. She's just kind of out looking for it. Yeah. Sort of a Froggy scenario.
Froggy situation.
But then it's like, so they always have to kind of come up with like reasons, for Cream, which is why she's also not in a lot of games, is because it's kind of hard to justify why like
having a child.
Well, why all the other characters would like let Cream be on these very dangerous missions and stuff, which she's not on most of the dangerous
to be fair, Tails is very young.
Yeah, but he's a genius.
He is a super genius. That's right. Sonic's best friend, and the power of their friendship protects him.
He flies a plane.
Tornado.
He flies Sonic's plane, but he still flies a plane. Hey, you tell me when you learn to fly a plane.
Fly a plane. I tell you when I fly a plane, I fly a plane every time I want to.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh, no,
yeah.
I was going to say, like, it would be cool to have Cream in a situation where it's like she got involved in the story and it was just like, this is just like actually way too dangerous for this character. And it's like, can you imagine like the one bodyguard that she gets is literally the strongest Sonic character ever?
Yeah.
Like, how cool would that be?
That would be
and
cool.
It would be very sweet.
And it would be sweet for him to have like, you know, the Maria kind of moment connection or whatever.
Now, I don't think if, because I could imagine like a lot of, if they wanted to do a bunch of Sonic characters in this next one, because it takes place like on a world with the animal characters, like I would assume most of them would just be like little cameos, like a single scene, or like background characters for like lesser known characters and things like that.
Mighty.
Right.
He's just
I
there.
can see them doing things like that. But so I know that the Cream Shadow scene would not happen, but I would love that to happen.
It would be cool. Yeah, there's like a lot of fan servicey things that I think would be really neat. That always only slightly depresses me whenever I think about movies and like what I want to happen.
Right.
Like I can't get too excited because
also there's only so many minutes that will be in this movie.
Exactly.
So.
And my opinion is probably not right most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
or not good. So, but yeah, I mean, I think if they're gonna go off planet, and if we're assuming that that's where Amy Rose is from and where Sonic is from and where Shadow is from, then I'm expecting lots of characters. I think that would be cool, even in little cameos or whatever. Like
yeah.
But I think the main ones to look out for that would make the most sense overall would just be Rouge the Bat, obviously, Big the Cat, obviously.
Obviously.
And I really think those are just the big ones. Cream would be great because she's just such a cute, sweet character.
I think that's a possibility. I think it's a possibility that we have the A-plot be Sonic and Amy separated, dealing with the future stuff for a while, and then all the other characters basically teaming back up with like Shadow to figure out how to like, which would mostly be Tails doing the heavy lifting, which I think would be great just to give him another big role because he didn't even have a huge role in Sonic 2.
No.
So like that would be a great way to do that. I'm kind of locking in. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't necessarily know if I think that's the most likely, but I would kind of hope that that's the setup for the plot.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's honestly, some of these are like really good ideas that I like. And overall, again, it's all riding on the fact that is Eggman alive? Is he the one behind this? If
we're just already operating on the fact that we think he'll come back.
Yeah. But it's also fun to talk about if he's not. Because if you've got, Agent Stone in there, I think you could easily have, let's say you've got a Nega Eggman, a Negman, if you will. He just negs all the characters constantly.
Which there is one that exists in the games. I actually had that thought at one point. I was like, what if Eggman's new identity is the Eggman Nega, which is, I know, very funny name.
Yep.
But that would be kind of a cool way to introduce that pretty obscure character.
That would be
because
cool.
like that character is not Eggman.
Yeah,
it's a different guy from like a different dimension.
Okay.
But like,
that could introduce interdimensional travel.
Yeah,
alternate.
I don't know if they'd do that. I think what I would expect to be more likely from the Sonic movie is to like reference that character by having it be the next costume for Eggman and like him rebranding himself and stuff like that. Which
is a shame because he got a cool ass costume right at the end of Sonic 3. Such a bummer.
Yeah, I know.
He completed his transformation and then they kill him.
Yeah, I know. I like how when he died he said thanks for nothing. That was actually a pretty great character moment.
It was a good character moment. It was a good arc. But
it's been a real drag.
That's a good. It'd be cool to see Stone as step in as Eggman, and act like that. He's taken over his technology. He's obviously very smart. He's got access to all of Eggman's shit. And the plot twist at the end of Sonic 4 is that Eggman has been alive the whole time.
Yeah,
he somehow finds Eggman.
Well, that was kind of another thing that I was thinking too. Is like, if they did end up getting Jim Carrey back, but he wasn't sure about doing 4, or they actually just didn't want Eggman to be in 4.
Yeah.
Like that could be a possibility.
Bring him back at the end somehow.
It's like do what I thought they were going to do with Shadow initially, which was tease him at the end of 4 to come back for 5. They could do that for Eggman, which like tease him at the end of 4.
That would be ultimate hype, I think.
That would be cool.
I could also see that happening. Because it would be very, very cool.
And if that were the case, it would be cool if like part of it being in the future, it's like it could be like 10 to 15 years in the future that Amy came from or whatever, and it's like all that time could have spent with like Agent Stone building up his thing, like his one just getting as smart as Eggman or whatever, or like executing some plans that Eggman might have had or something, and was like too depressed and watching soap operas to think like I could see that being a Sonic thing where it's like how'd you come up with this? It's like the doctor was working on this while he was sulking after you defeated him. Stinking.
Holy shit.
Stop calling me that.
Stop saying that word. So yeah, it would be really crazy to see Eggman pop up at the end if that's the case. I think it would be cool because, again, if this movie is doing interdimensional travel, time travel, all that, and they are setting up for Sonic 06, which to me makes the most sense since it is basically the next game in line that has its own full story, to have Silver teased at the end. So that would be kind of cool.
I do wonder about the because, like, if we're assuming Amy is sort of like the Trunks of this story, that's literally what Silver is. Yeah. Like, he was literally based on Trunks. So, like, the overlap of that, I wonder how that works. Or again, if they even give a they're like, let's just do it again.
It is interesting with the movies because they don't really seem to give a They do just kind of do whatever they want, which I like. I like that they've established their own lore and their own backstories for stuff. So, and honestly, at this point, it's like I just trust the direction they're going. I don't really know what it is. Yeah. Because even though we're 3 movies in, it's not totally clear.
Well, again, especially this next one there's nothing to base this one off of, so we have nothing to really expect about it.
Exactly. I mean, the only reason you've had anything to expect anything so far of the last movie is because Shadow, and he's just so tied into Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah. So it is interesting. It's not like you have 3 movies worth of nothing, but you do have 3 movies worth of
very different things. Right. Yeah. Very like the first one, totally unrelated. Second one, original lore movie with like pretty original backstories for like Knuckles and Tails. Yeah. Loosely based on like their game manual descriptions. Yes. Yeah. And then you just have Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah. Like have we solved anything? Yeah. We don't know Sonic's backstory. Yeah. We don't really know like what's going on that planet. We don't really know what's going on with the Master Emerald, So there are a lot of things that have been set up over the course of 3 films that it's like, okay, this is a lot of stuff, but like, what are we going to do with it now? So I am hoping that there is more of like a narrow direction. Yeah,
I would hope that this Sonic 4 is like something that they've been really excited about since like they've been making Sonic 2. Yeah, like something that they've been thinking about, like, because this is where we can put all of our own personal creative stuff into this, because it will be a story that like will be controlled by us as opposed to another game that already exists. Yeah. So what do you think the setup is going to be like right after that end scene? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think it's going to be a quick Amy brings either just Sonic or Sonic and friends to the future really fast? Or do you think we're going to have like a bit where Amy and the Metal Sonics maybe just Amy after she destroys like the 10 that are there? Does she stay on Earth for a while and then they eventually go to the other planet? Or are we going for the instant separation of cast in one way or another?
Personally, I think the movie won't be able to help itself, and I think Amy will stay on Earth for a little bit and have like the awkward Earth shenanigans. Oh, like, yeah. Maybe, for like a minute or two. I think the movie can't really help itself with that. Although, again, it's gotten better from the first movie to the third movie. I just think that fish out of water thing is just too... Yeah. They just sure do love doing that. Yeah. But I don't know, because I will say the last movie opened up, it was so much fun. The shadow breaking out, that was such a good little fun action sequence. Which, oh my god, the score is so good.
Dude, yeah.
When he's running across the water, dude, like that height.
That
that's
shot
crazy.
Is so cool.
It's so good.
It's like the best his skating animation.
Yeah, he looks awesome.
He looks so cool.
It's so cool. The music is amazing.
It's also such a cool thing for like the very first thing that Shadow does is like the hardest thing Sonic did in Sonic 2, because remember that was like a big moment,
running
him having to
water,
run on the water, like,
that he immediately wakes up from a 50-year coma,
right,
and he's just
immediately does that in like a storm. Like, that's so cool.
That is really cool. How the Sonic 2 start?
Sonic 2, I believe it started with Mushroom Planet Eggman meeting Knuckles.
Okay, and
then it
that's
went
a
into
fun.
and then it went into like Sonic 1 type stuff, which was like him at the house sending off Tom and Maddie to like their vacation and
No, that's it.
and
Well, it went back into
hijinks
the
with
fun.
Ozzy.
Well, because again, the movie can't help itself. It's got to go into the little fun, family-friendly.
Which if they did
hijinks.
that with Amy, I feel like
Yeah.
the spin that they would ultimately go with, because like they did the same thing with Shadow, but it was really sweet. It was like him, Maria just showing him how to have fun and enjoy things.
But overall, again, the whole sequence is still like cool. It's an epic way to jump into the story, and then you ease into it with the family-friendly stuff. Sonic 2, even though the Mushroom Planet is kind of goofy, you have that really cool sequence of him starting up the machine and then Knuckles showing up. Like, that's cool. Because he's very badass when he walks through.
Yeah, he's really angry looking in that shot.
He kind of looks weird.
He looks weird. It almost looks like a different model in that one shot for some reason. I don't know why.
Angular.
I think the models look the weirdest in Sonic 2. They
do.
They made him look a little bit nicer.
Tails looks a little strange.
Yeah, his face is a little small. I think that's what it is.
You can see a big change from Sonic 2 to Sonic 3.
Yeah.
I think. A good change.
Yeah, a good one. It's a good change. Yeah. Yeah, but...
Yeah.
Because especially if you look at like Shadow in Sonic 2 compared to the final.
Yeah, it's not necessarily... Yes, oh my god, Final Shadow in Sonic 2 is very funny.
He's very goofy in retrospect.
But it's funny, like, seeing it at the time, like, that's f***ing epic! Yeah. And then you see him in the new movie and like, that looks goofy as
way better.
Yeah. But, so I'm not saying that necessarily Sonic 4 has to start... Okay. That sounds very Lord of the Rings too, which is cool. So yeah, I'm not saying that Sonic 4...
it was like exactly like the Mordor theme.
Yeah.
Mixed with like something from Men in Black for some reason. I remember also.
It's the Trump, something about like the horns
yeah.
in it. It is.
Yeah, and it's
Holy
yeah, and it's like and then it's like the fucking... It's like the only time it happens in the movie, but like the trap hi-hat for some reason.
Which is so cool.
But it works so well.
That is one of my favorite.
That's such a good opening.
That's a good... Oh, dude, we just like...
Do we just walk Sonic through?
Hey, we'll be back, guys. Yeah. We won't. No. But I'm not saying that Sonic 4 has to like start super crazy, like immediately. Because again, the last two movies didn't. They eased into it for a couple minutes.
This is also the first time that an end scene has been like an action scene. So like, does the movie just start with a recreation of the last like 4 minutes of...
You're
Sonic?
right. Yeah,
because like the Shadow thing was clearly a separate thing. The Tails reveal was clearly a separate thing. 1 and 2
end with like the family moment. You're right. Okay, yeah, that would be interesting. Just to like, it does the episode of the week.
Was that essentially like proof of concept? First 4 minutes of
I could see that
Sonic
being
4?
Where they kind of essentially redo that, but maybe from Amy's perspective.
Yeah.
Like that would be interesting.
Starting from her world.
How she, like followed them to Earth or whatever.
That would be very Sonic 06 setup. Yeah.
So that would be cool, just starting the movie from her perspective. And jumping into that.
Yeah.
I think would be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Maybe even, if they're going to be really crazy, starting it from Shadow's perspective, wherever he landed or wherever he's at. He may be on Mobius or on that planet, and he's like looking around and seeing all this crazy, like maybe there's crazy Eggman buildings and industrial shit because he's taking it over.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that would be kind of cool. I don't see it starting from like a Sonic team. Like perspective, because I don't think we really care what's going on with them right now.
Yeah.
It's not like
it's gonna clearly there's like much more interesting things going on. Yeah. Like or more interesting questions where there's not really a question with the Sonic team.
Yeah.
They're fine.
I think starting from Amy's
they're the only ones that are fine.
Would be kind of cool.
That would be cool, and then leading into like the other half of the portal, like seeing that first scene.
Yeah. That would be cool. That's my prediction.
We only predicted the first 5 seconds of the movie.
But it
is my prediction.
But
I did predict it.
So yeah, that's how I think the movie, to me, would make the most sense. How it could start.
Do we think if it's Eggman driven, which I am still leaning towards it being Eggman driven, maybe because like in Sonic 2 it was obvious he wasn't dead because they literally showed that he wasn't basically, and it was such a goofy send off like. There was no inkling that he was alive at the end of Sonic 3.
Yeah.
So, do we think that, like, for a bunch of the movie, it's like you don't know who the bad guy is.
Yeah.
Maybe
he stays in the shadows and then it's revealed. No, I do think that would be, them trying to figure out who's behind the Metal's army.
Yeah.
Whatever. That way you don't have to show him on screen either.
Yeah. Maybe Eggman could even be like framing Gunn.
Yeah.
Or something that that.
That would be interesting.
Because Gunn
would he care though?
Because Gunn would presume. Well, I don't know. I feel like Gunn would presumably, aside from Sonic, would be one of the few forces that could like potentially challenge him.
Yeah.
Because I mean even though they didn't design it, it's like they did build the arc.
That's true.
And
like you said, they have all of that research from Gerald over the last however many years.
Yeah, and
That's
so
true.
and maybe like Eggman could see them as like a good solution as turning them on the Sonic team.
Yeah.
In some way.
And
that could be where the Kristen Ritter character comes in as that antagonist, like because I think she has enough motivation anyways. She didn't like them at first, and then there was all the other stuff that transpired, like in the gravity chamber and stuff, and them stealing the keys, and basically, it was kind of their fault also that the Ark got stolen in the first place. So she has a lot of reason to like hate them and not trust them.
Yeah, I don't think Gunn is wrong. Gunn did nothing wrong.
Right? Yeah.
I don't think Gunn...
cut to Maria.
Okay, how crazy would this be? I was just thinking, wouldn't it be nuts if Eggman turned Kristen Ritter into Rouge the Bat? How crazy,
that
though.
Would be the only way my two favorite women existed at the same time.
I think that would be so funny because
that would be so weird. That would be so Archie comic.
Because if we assume that Eggman is on the alien planet, he wants to infiltrate Gunn, so he somehow kidnaps her. It turns her into a Mobian, and all he can think of is sexy bat.
I was gonna say that I think that if Rouge gets introduced in Sonic 4, like not that she's in it, but gets specifically introduced in Sonic 4.
Or mentioned even.
Well, listen, Zip it.
Just do that whole part backwards.
And it's like I'm reading the Bible. If she gets introduced in Sonic 4, then what I was going to say earlier is I think it would probably be likely that if Eggman is on the Sonic character planet and like I could see Rouge trying to like break into whatever facilities he's doing to like steal you know, and like
little grimy little
paws. Little rat bat. Well, she's a little rat.
Little rat
bat.
gloves she wears.
But that would be how they met, and then he like teams up with her. And it'd be kind of a cool way to like mirror the Knuckles thing, where it's like he thinks he's taking advantage of her, but she's like completely fully aware.
Yeah.
And so maybe like the second she gets sent to Earth or whatever,
that'd be
like, or she gets sent to Earth and she's fine with like spying on Gunn or whatever, and Gunn is like, oh well, one of these like aliens,
weird
who's
aliens
super strong and stuff, and she wants to be on our side. Like, okay, we'll take that.
Yeah.
And that could be a good way for Rouge to be like her double agent self, and
I like that.
A good way to incorporate that.
I think that would be cool. It'd be very easy because again, if you're going off a split reality thing, she's like the perfect character for it to have because she does that double agent. So I like it.
I like that too. Which if we're going by my suggestion, which is Shadow's still on Earth and he's part of like the team that deals with Gunn, and it's like Sonic and Amy are separated on their own, or maybe just like the four, Sonic team and Amy are over there. That would be like the fastest way to get Rouge over to where Shadow is.
Yeah.
So that would fit well if that was the setup.
That could work.
I think I would like that.
Yeah. I would
and that could introduce them meeting like Omega.
I was going to mention Omega.
Omega could be, obviously he's an Eggman robot who like hates Eggman, but he could just be a gun robot in the Sonic movies.
Yeah, that's true.
He could be like the robot that maybe Gunn has been making after the incident, and like he's like the one robot they've made that's
technology.
like from like Gerald's notes and Eggman's notes and stuff like that, and like he's their one weapon that they have.
With their technology.
No. But yeah, he would be the one
Omega
weapon that
would be cool. Gamma would be cool.
Yeah, Gamma would be cool, but I feel like you can't put Gamma in because he has such a good story on his own.
That's true.
Like, if you're not going to give him a story,
then don't put him in there at all.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Like, because Omega doesn't have a story. Omega's just like, I love killing things.
Yeah.
We should go do some of that.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes him fun with the Team Dark.
And that would be a fun, again, just a little addition, because at this point, why not just throw them all in there?
Yeah.
I think that would be the most fun thing that the series could do at this point, is just start throwing all the extra characters.
Because that would like perfectly create, like, in this movie, that would very clearly make the Team Hero and Team Dark dynamics like very solid, which is very important for Sonic 06. Like, Sonic 06 is like the three main teams all doing their separate things, and they all do very different and very important things.
Yeah.
Like, well, I won't spoil Sonic 06 too much for you, but like, there's basically like a villain and an antagonist for each of the three main teams in that game. And so not having to spend any time establishing who the teams are in Sonic 5.
Yeah.
So that would be a good thing to do in Sonic 4.
Okay. Yeah. Then I like that. I like that a lot. What the is Big the Cat going to be doing? He's the second in command to the Resistance.
Dude, speaking of...
Froggy?
Froggy? Where is the father?
That's him jumping.
And then he goes up the ladder.
They all do.
Yep.
Sonic. You don't sound like that. That's not your voice.
But yeah, so that would be cool. But yeah, this also does raise because they skipped over Sonic Adventure 1, and I don't think they'll go back to Sonic Adventure 1.
Which is a shame, because Chaos would be really
this would be really cool. Do we think that, like, and it's like, I could be wrong, maybe for Sonic 5 they go back to Sonic Adventure because now Amy will be introduced in it. But then you'll have all of the other characters from Sonic Adventure 2, and that feels really weird to
plus
include.
I don't know, like, I feel like they've just moved past it.
Sonic
already.
Adventure almost feels like a plot that they would do for like a Knuckles show, because it has so much to do with the echidnas and the Master Emerald.
It should have
stuff.
been a Knuckles show. Honestly, would have been cool. I think really, if you think about the game, there's really not a lot there. I mean,
well, there's a good amount.
Yeah, I just erase that so it don't sound stupid.
Okay. I won't play it 4 times. And I won't intersperse it out throughout the whole video at regular increments. I won't. I'm saying I won't. Don't. Konichi, don't do this.
Okay,
that's not
funny.
clever.
That's not funny. With Sonic Adventure, I feel like we've just kind of already missed the boat on it, which sucks, because it does have so much good Master Emerald lore, and it seems like the movies care about the Master Emerald, but
and Chaos is just very cool and sad.
He's just he's
and
very
I would love
sad.
to see like a
Plus
movie.
His final form is so cool.
What I was gonna say, I would love to see like movie quality renderings of Chaos with his water and stuff. That would be really cool.
That would be very cool.
It would also be cool to see Chaos 3 and 5, because he was never shown in the games.
That's right,
because he had the one big arm.
That's right, because he just
had
moves
the
up.
2 big arms.
That's right.
And then they went right to 4 where he was like the shark thing.
The shark.
And then went to 6 where he was the circle with the tail.
Right. That's right.
And then he was the dragon.
Yeah, and then he was a giant Godzilla dragon. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that there were skipped forms. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. But also at this point, I don't really know like what they're doing. I mean, I know they have the Master Emerald backstory. The echidnas want the Master Emerald because it's powerful. But like, it's just weird how they were like, the Chaos Emeralds make up the Master Emerald. It's like they're supposed to be a separate thing. The Master Emerald is also supposed to be huge. I don't like that it's like this big.
Yeah.
And
well, it's like all of them have been scaled down by like 3
I know they're all very they're very tiny.
I do like the tiny cute little emeralds.
Tiny cute little ones are fine, but again, it would be cool if like I liked the big giant Master Emerald because I thought Angel Island was really cool.
Yeah, Angel Island's very cool.
Yeah, it's such a neat that's a neat space. So saving space for Angel Island.
Right.
Making space.
But yeah, no, I don't think they'll do Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. Which is a shame, but also at this point it's just kinda like whatever. Yeah.
Now there was some this is just a side note, but in the Knuckles show, they made some big changes to Sonic 06 lore. Like, it, not in a throwaway line, but in like a flashback type sequence. Like, part of the reason that Knuckles like has his powers is because in the show, one of his adventures that he'd gone on before we meet him,
the weird puppet thing.
yeah, was that he had basically beaten one of the big guys from Sonic 06.
That's right.
So I don't know. Maybe that means that they weren't really planning on doing Sonic 06.
That's
and
a good
so
point.
maybe
Yeah.
there is something else happening after 4. I don't know. I mean, this is obviously speculation for a totally different thing, but I do think it kind of ties in, because part of like what I would imagine would happen in Sonic 4 would be to continuously lead into the next movie. And I've just been assuming it's Sonic 06.
Yeah.
But who knows?
That's an interesting point, because is it just sort of like a little bit of throwaway lore, or is it something that, is kind of insinuating that this already happened and we're gonna
because I mean, they could write around that specific thing.
Yeah, sure. Like, it doesn't have to be a big deal. Most people probably didn't even watch the show.
Yeah.
So
It's like, they could definitely write around it and like write out that part of the villain from Sonic 06. But like, remembering that now, it does lead me to believe that maybe they were like, well, maybe a cool thing we can do with Sonic 06 is like use it as like movie version of Knuckles basically solved that whole problem by himself. Like, that's how cool and tough he is.
Which would be very cool.
Which is cool. Like, when I heard that line, I was like, that is really cool. So yeah, maybe that does mean that they're doing something else. I mean, maybe that could even mean that after Sonic 3, they're all kind of like Sonic 2 and 4, where like they're all just taking elements from the games to make their own, mostly original stories.
That would be cool.
Which that would be cool. I would be totally fine with that.
If they weren't doing Sonic 06, what game do you think they would pull from?
That's what I'm trying to think, because Sonic 06 is really the last one
Sonic
that has
Unleashed.
like a very see that's the thing, right? Like,
It's Werehog.
right? Like, Sonic Unleashed is like, it's a good story, and it's like it's like
fun.
it's a fun story with good cutscenes, and it's like written pretty well.
Yeah.
But like
Doesn't really track.
But yeah, it just doesn't fit. Like, Sonic Unleashed, like Sonic 06, was like a soft reboot.
Yeah.
Which Sega now is like, it was just like the next one that happened. They all happened. It's not like when Sonic Unleashed happened in Eggman and when he ripped the world into 100 pieces. It's not like none of the characters exist. It's just only Sonic and Tails thought it was important to fix. Shadow thought it was unnecessary to put the planet back together. Whenever they were looking for the Chaos Emeralds, which all have ancient altars that have existed for millions of years in this game, it was unimportant that Knuckles had anything to talk about there. I just didn't think it was that important. It's not that big deal. Sonic's gonna do it. He's gonna take care of it. It wasn't a soft reboot. He did look different, but but genuinely though, that's basically like, a lot of the games from Sonic 06 and onwards were like in a row, like soft reboots. Like, Sonic 06 was a soft reboot that like it carried over, especially mostly with Shadow, where it's like Shadow was pretty much all of the continuity, where it's like you could tell he was the guy from Shadow the Hedgehog, basically. But like Eggman and Sonic and Tails and everything, it's like they kind of felt more like it was one of those, okay, we all know who Sonic, Tails, Knuckles are. They're a team. They're the good guys. They've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
But there was like no references back to the past games. Like, after Sonic Adventure 2, none of the Sonic games show that the moon is like blown up or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, in Sonic Unleashed, where he turns into a werewolf, there is a full moon, not a broken in half moon.
Yeah.
So it's like, clearly they were like all soft reboots. And then Sonic Colors was after that, and it also like ignored Sonic Unleashed and Sonic 06 and stuff like that. So they were trying to make it, they were like further going down this like Saturday morning episodic cartoon sort of vibe, where and especially after Sonic Unleashed, they also were like, let's reflect that in the stories and make them extremely simple. Like, Sonic Colors is literally just like Eggman built a theme park in space and he has bad intentions, so Sonic is going to stop that from happening. Like, that's the story of Sonic games after that. And then you get to like Sonic Forces, which has like a big embarrassing story. And
we won't go into it.
Right, we'll get there. We'll play it. Don't worry. But the only one after that, like after Sonic 06, that has like a a chunky story to do anything with would probably be Sonic Frontiers. And that would be such a weird one to adapt into a movie because it's like an open world, slow-paced game with like a lot of cutscenes, but a very simple story that takes place basically just on an island. Like, so it nothing really hits that sort of globe-trotting thing except for like Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Sonic 06. Like those are the main ones that have like the big, you know, complicated stories with lots of cutscenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it could just be that if they don't want to do 06, the rest of the movies will just be like essentially almost totally original stuff.
Picky and choosing whatever elements
just
from
pulling
other
in stuff.
Yeah, it's so weird. This is a totally like kind of separate conversation, but it's strange how some franchises just do that. Like Mario, you don't expect any kind of lore from Mario.
Right.
Like everything is just its own self-contained game.
Yeah.
The movie is its own thing.
And that's
like,
never like
it's never been an issue.
Well, the reason it works for Mario is because like there was never a continuity with it. Really,
right. There was never a precedent that was set.
It's like you assume he's gone on all of his adventures,
right?
But like you know that none of them have anything to do with each other.
And it's okay, yeah, because even if they are all happening in the same universe, it still kind of works because they're just little self-contained adventures.
Yeah. Whereas like Sonic, again, there's all
big
this
lore
things that happen, and then they build each other. Like like Sonic 1, 2, and 3 all basically lead directly into one another.
Yeah.
Like even though they're very simple stories, it's like
super simple stories.
It's basically like Sonic going from like this little group of islands until he eventually finds Angel Island, and then the Angel Island story in Sonic 3 happens, and then Sonic Adventure. A lot of the lore from Sonic 3 is very important, like the Master Emerald. It was introduced in 3. It's a huge important thing in Sonic Adventure 1. All that stuff happens. Sonic Adventure 2 is like you can play it separate from Sonic Adventure 1. Like there's no like direct plot stuff that happens, but if you're looking at all the background stuff, like everything Gerald has made was clearly from Angel Island. Like he made like the fake chaoses. The Bio Lizard is possibly based on the mural of Perfect Chaos.
Yeah.
Shadow is possibly based on the Supersonic mural from Sonic 3. Like there's a lot of stuff
that's really cool.
Yeah. In the end, like Knuckles stopping all of the Chaos Emeralds and stuff. He does like the chant that the ancient echidnas that he learned from Sonic Adventure 1 from Tikal, you know, to like stop the Chaos Emeralds and stuff like that. So there were things that led
that have
into
been established that,
and then of like all of them, it's like Shadow the Hedgehog is like Sonic Heroes happens after Adventure 2, but again, like I said, it's like a self-contained story too. It's just clearly it happens after Sonic Adventure 2, but like Shadow the Hedgehog is like a full sequel to Sonic Adventure 2. Like full on complete
full
continuity
stop sequel.
Yeah.
Happens right. It's the next thing.
Do you want me to edit together all the times you repeat yourself? It was like from that point on, like after people reacted negatively to Shadow the Hedgehog, where they started being like, let's kind of maybe reboot it a little bit with Sonic 06, and then after people hated Sonic 06, they were like, they're all their own thing, and maybe the games before did or didn't happen. They totally didn't, guys. Don't worry. And then nowadays they're like, they totally happened. Don't worry. Yeah, of course they happened. We gotta sell Shadow Generation somehow. Where even are we in this conversation?
We talked about the first 5 minutes.
I can do a final run of. I can do an actual prediction now of what I think the structure of the movie. A really quick one, and then you can do one.
Okay.
Or do you want to do yours first?
No, you do yours first.
Yours first. Okay.
So mine can be better.
So I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say that it starts. I'm stealing your idea. From Amy's perspective. I'm gonna say the Amy perspective thing into the saving Sonic, and then she's gonna take Sonic by himself.
Okay.
And they're immediately gonna go back into the future, and then Sonic's gonna be like, "But wait, my friends!" And then Amy's gonna be like, "Well, I don't have the crystals right now. I used all the crystals that I needed to do it, so they can't go back. So they're separated." Tails, Knuckles, Tom, Amy, Ozzy, of course, they all find out that Sonic's gone. Tails starts looking for him. Possibly that leads Tails to finding Shadow, or Shadow just finds his way back to Gun or something like that. Maybe the Sonic team approaches Gun with what's happened. And So that sets up the two sides. And I'm going to say that a chunk of the movie is like Sonic seeing how like torn up this alien home planet is while he learns about the hedgehogs. And I'm going to say it's like you don't know that it's Eggman. Okay. Maybe even somehow Eggman went back in time and like, you know, picked up Agent Stone or something.
Yeah.
And they decided to use Stone as like the face of everything. So
that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Which would be a pretty convincing way to like not think it's Eggman.
Yeah.
You know, I think if he had to pick a mouthpiece as far as the audience is concerned of convincing it that it's not just Eggman, Agent Stone would be a good one, because a lot of people, including us, already kind of assume that like he could be like taking up the mantle of Eggman.
Yeah, he could move on to the next thing.
And so that could be a cool reveal at the end or towards the end that it has been Eggman the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'll say that maybe even part of the same event, like the same way that Amy got to the Earth, is maybe like whenever Eggman was sending Rouge or something like that. Yeah. It could have been the same event. Sending Rouge and the Metal Sonics to both simultaneously get rid of Sonic and Gun with Rouge. And then as Rouge meets Shadow and possibly Omega, that's whenever they get a lot of... Team Dark gets the information about Eggman, and then Tails hopefully just figures it all out on his own, because he's a smart guy.
He's very smart.
And then maybe Shadow will be like, we should go to Tails. I think that would be a cool moment if Shadow was like, you know, like the Back to the Future thing, where he's like, where are you going? It's like, the one man who can help me.
I like that.
I like to imagine that for Shadow, that's Tails, because he's like, he's pretty smart.
He's a smart kid.
Yeah. So I think that would be cool if like they all met up, and then that's where like the third act happens, where like Tails can open, like maybe with like Shadow's chaos power and like
his chaos energy,
and maybe Knuckles with like his control over the Chaos Emeralds and stuff. I think they could write in a way where like everyone's pretty important to it. And obviously Rouge could tell them like maybe if they need to know like the time period and things like that.
Right.
And then Omega can just be there as like, I can't wait to kill some people. That's going to be so fun. But so then that's whenever they all get brought over. And then it's just like a big team up fight kind of thing.
Big ultra cool
Which
fight.
would probably mean that Amy doesn't get a lot of interaction with other characters besides Sonic. But that's kind of what happened with Shadow in Sonic 3 already. Yeah. So it would be nice if they wanted to fix that, but at the same time I understand why it was a problem. It's because again, the movies are just too short for this amount of characters. The pacing of Sonic 3 was insane. It was such a fast movie. It was just great.
Super fast.
You go super Sonic, problem solve. Some is running around. He's going fast. And it's super Sonic. And then they win. Your turn?
What's your after credits prediction? What's your very
after
end?
Credits prediction?
How are they going to segue into the next movie?
I am going to still...
How are they going to segue into the next movie?
Even though I said it might not be what's going to happen, I'm still going to say it's going to be Sonic 06. And I think maybe it would be some kind of thing where like from Eggman's perspective, or like Tails, someone who like can monitor the time travel stuff now that it exists. Maybe it'll be some kind of like there's like a totally separate anomaly happening. Like, what? And then Silver shows up or whatever.
Iblis Trigger.
Yeah. He's like, the Iblis Trigger must die. And he tries to kill Sonic, and then Sonic dodges.
That's how it ends.
And then punches him in the back of the head, and he's like, if you're going to go for a sneak attack, maybe not the fastest thing in the universe. And then an army of Silvers come up, and then Amy comes through a portal. and then the plot of the fifth movie will be identical to the plot of the fourth
Silver
movie.
Instead of Amy.
Yes.
Holy shit.
I love
funny.
this.
That's just great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Well, see you guys next time. I just cut it off right there. I don't let you do yours.
So my prediction, that was a lot. You had a lot of in yours.
Yeah. I tried to go through the whole movie.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
That's fine.
I'm gonna steal my original idea.
My
My OG idea.
But I edited everything out until I started talking just now.
So
If I cut out the hour and a half we've been recording before that
just
exact
to
moment,
start there.
Yep.
Holy I do think the movie's going to start.
Recording a YouTube short this whole time.
Holy God. I think the movie's going to start from Amy's perspective, how she got to Earth. I really like the idea of it being like Sonic X, where something's going on some Eggman type base. Maybe we don't necessarily see Eggman, because I also like that thought too. She's the resistance leader of some kind of resistance. She's sneaking into this base where there's this army of Metal Sonics. They're being sent to Earth, and somehow there's this big cataclysmic event. She gets sucked in, either on purpose, like she follows him, or she just kind of accidentally. I think an accident would be more interesting, like Sonic X, because later on, I think that's how Rouge will get to Earth.
I guess that was
like in
an
Sonic
assumption
X.
that I was going under, which was like, it is like a Trunks situation where like Amy knows exactly who Sonic is and she's looking for him, but that literally may not be the case at all.
Yeah. I mean, she could just see that he looks a lot like those metal guys. You know, she could try to hit him. Who knows? We cut off.
Oh, a Sonic Amy fight in the beginning of the movie.
That'd be really dope.
That could be a fun fight.
That would be fun. So, I think that she'll just get there however she gets there. It being an accident, again, would be cool, because then later on, if you have other characters, it could be like, well, we also got sucked into the explosion, Anyway, so could be a Sonic Amy fight. That would be kind of cool. I think she's going to spend some time on Earth for a little bit, and I think the only way for them to get back to the other planet to help Amy is going to be Tails building some kind of machine. While this is happening, I think that Gunn has been tracking Shadow. I think that after losing the Ark, I think they're trying to recover pieces of the Ark. I think they're trying to find Eggman. So somehow Gunn has tracked Shadow down, and I think they sort of convince him to work with them somehow, basically saying and it could be a Shadow was remorseful. I'm sorry, I tried to kill 9 billion people.
Right.
My
Oh
bad.
my God! You know what would be a really funny moment? Shadow being like, "I'm really sorry, I tried to kill 3 billion people." You're like, right? He's been asleep for a while. Right.
He doesn't know.
You almost killed 10 billion people.
10 billion people. Sonic the Hedgehog. Shadow the Sonic.
Hog.
So it could be, Gunn has tracked down Shadow wherever he may be. And he starts working with them so that they can recover pieces of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
I think they've also been tracking Eggman, and maybe not necessarily Eggman, because we don't want that to be revealed until later, but they have tracked some of his technology on that alien planet. So
like
they're
how
teaming.
Tails picked up on Sonic's boom.
Exactly. Sonic's boom, if you will.
Boom boom.
Sonic's Unleashed, if you will.
I've got Sonic's boom boom readings. Off the charts.
Stop me finishing my story.
Yeah.
So somehow Gunn convinces Shadow, or he decides to team up with them because they've gotten signal of Eggman's technology on this alien planet. Or maybe they don't even know it's Eggman's. They just know it's something big and crazy. They've sensed the army that has shown up on Earth. They've seen the boom, whatever the it is. So that's going to be going on, because I personally think Shadow's going to be by himself. That would be my prediction, is he's kind of doing his own thing with Gunn. In the midst of that, at some point, you find out that Rouge the Bat was also sent to Earth. And it could be like a Sonic X thing where she's sneakily trying to steal the Chaos Emeralds while all this is happening.
Yeah.
And that's literally just why she's there.
Yeah.
However, she maybe is captured by Gunn. They're like, oh, you're an alien. We're not going to let you go this time. They capture her. They talk to her.
We're not making that mistake again.
You're not making that mistake again. Hey, they say that in Wreck-It
Ralph.
Ralph.
Like that. Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We're not making that mistake again. And then he throws him in the fungeon. It's like a fun dungeon.
I love those.
The spicy
Doc
ones?
says I gotta cut that out though. Not for cholesterol reasons.
Not for health reasons, just annoying.
Yeah, he doesn't like me talking about him.
Stop talking about Funyuns all the fucking time.
They look like Sonic rings.
So Rouge is either approached or captured by Gunn, And, you know, she's very smart. She's slick. So maybe she kind of like convinces them like, oh, I know all about this secret base.
Yeah.
Because again, she's sneaky, right? So she also is made to team up with Shadow because they're like, make the 2 aliens go to the planet and find out what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think that's how
the
they
2
could
aliens that can breathe in space.
Clearly.
So,
and have no problem doing that.
So
and
we
it's
don't,
not explained.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sonic, you have lungs. I don't think so. You have something else.
Sonic did explicitly say he had lungs.
Yeah, and I don't believe that.
I don't believe him.
Yeah.
Is it just like Sonic and Shadow, their lung capacity is so insane that maybe it is
because they
just never had to breathe inwards that entire time.
That's true. Maybe they were
I don't know how they hurt each other.
That was them holding their breath.
Yeah.
I guess when you have to like have a crazy metabolism like that and you're running around, you probably do have a very good...
How long do we think Sonic could hold his breath? Actually, we technically have a lot of information on that about how fast he drowns in the video games.
Yeah.
The sound it makes, kind of.
Kind of.
On both of our parts, it was kind of the sound.
And together, it made a whole. I closed
You done
this
with
eye.
yours? Or, yeah.
No, I'm not. So I think that's what's going to be going on in the B plot. With Shadow, I think that's how Rouge can be introduced. I think that makes the most sense, how like Gun would be involved in this. Meanwhile, Sonic and friends are learning about what's going on from Amy. Maybe in the initial fight in the beginning, she's fought off all the soldiers, you know, but the main metal somehow either gets away, runs away, or something. So they're trying to track him down, maybe, or whilst Tails is building this time machine, and they have to, you know, find the Chaos Emeralds in order to power his machine. You could have Knuckles come in and figure out a way to do that, track that, get more of his whatever lore. And then as far as like details, I don't f***ing know. I don't know.
See you around, everyone.
But I think ultimately it would end up they would get back to Mobius. There'd be legions and legions of Metal Sonics. You see that like maybe there's all these like industrialized buildings and stuff. Like, you know, Eggman is kind of taken over or whatever, or whoever this person is. Eggman Land. Whoever this person is. No, Robotnik Land.
Oh.
OVA.
Yeah.
That'd be dope. Knuckles can get his cowboy hat back. I really wished he'd worn that because I liked that he had it in the show.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame.
Yeah.
It was. I mean,
maybe
it was,
dude. Okay, that would be good if like they go to the planet and you know they know that they're going to be the underdogs in this scenario where they're like dealing with like an empire basically. And like Knuckles wears that as a disguise.
I like
he
it.
Thinks that
he thinks it'll disguise
that's
him.
A good disguise.
I like that. It's also very.
That would be in character for him.
Yeah, it's very Wayne Wiggles coded.
It is. Isn't it?
What's his name?
Yeah, no, that was right.
Okay. Do the wiggle dance. So yeah, I think they'll get back there. They see that it's Eggman Empire, Robotnik Land, whatever. You know, they get to the base. Maybe they've chased Metal Sonic back there. Maybe somehow Metal Sonic can travel betwixt worlds and dimensions quickly.
That's like a built-in. Maybe he has like a Chaos Emerald inside of his bones.
Yeah, I mean,
one
he
thing
is
that the movies
machine.
haven't done at all yet is having like the Chaos Emeralds be used separately,
like as a power source. Yeah,
like they always are just like the 7 of them together or the Master Emerald, and like there's never been.
Now that would be
someone
cool.
having a singular one.
Yeah.
If there were like 7 main Metal Sonics that each had an emerald, that would be pretty cool.
7
I still
different.
would prefer.
They're all different versions.
Well, yeah,
of different.
There's like the 7 that they have to beat that each have their own Chaos Emerald, and whenever they beat them, the Chaos Emeralds like form back to the Master Emerald, and then there's the one main Metal
giant,
Sonic,
big emerald.
Yeah, but like the one main Metal Sonic that uses the Master Emerald, so he's like way stronger.
That would
Which
be
would also be
cool.
a great way to get rid of the Super Sonic and Super Shadow problem.
Yeah.
Because
the Super Shadow problem.
It's a Super Shadow problem where you know
he would just win.
Yeah, he would just they would win. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be really cool. And again, maybe he has some kind of Chaos Emerald energy that he's using, so they have to chase him back. Maybe that's why he's not there. And again, throughout all of this, maybe there could be opportunities for, you know, if I'm wanting my Metal Sonic who has this little arc, maybe he's watching them. Maybe actually he's there talking to like Cream the whole time. She's captured and she's just being the sweet one or something.
Oh, that would be a sweet little cutaway thing to regularly do.
It would be a nice little, you know, like not a foil, but juxtaposition to Shadow and Maria having metal and cream.
Yeah.
But because I still think you could, again, I don't know how, but you could still have those moments where he becomes more human.
Metal Sonic learning something about existing and all that stuff, like that could
being
very
alive.
much, that could very much be something that comes from Shadow.
Yeah.
Who like Shadow learned his lesson from Sonic.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to see like another character pass on like the positive whatever.
Yeah.
That would be a very like kids movie thing to do, which obviously the Sonic movies are children's movies.
They're children's movies, at the end of the day.
Children's movies where cool things happen.
Where cool goes on.
Really cool, like pretty badass stuff happens.
Pretty kick-ass.
Did you guys see the scene where Wade was playing with the Master Emerald? With a hockey stuff?
Hockey stuck?
Did you guys see the scene where Tom was changing his face and he turned into Ozzy for a second? Did you guys see this? Do you see Guardian?
And just pull it. Now we're done. Yeah, because ultimately they're kids' movies, so that would be a cool moment. And you could have it to where Shadow and Rouge have been doing their little B-plot stuff, developing her character, figuring out whatever the is going on with Gunn, maybe even meeting up with an Omega, robot or something. But they ultimately, and again, they're trying to find Chaos Emeralds because that's all Rouge wants. And Team Sonic needs the Chaos Emeralds in order to power Time Machine. They all somehow get together, final act, so that they can finish Tails' machine. They can all travel to the other planet and then beat the shit out of Metal Sonic, and then that's where it's revealed. That's where it's revealed that Agent Stone has been behind all this the whole time. When actually, at the very, very, very end, maybe like he has fallen or been slain or something, and you see like Eggman like kind of come out of the darkness or something
and
very
he says
cheesy
something
or
really
goofy,
dumb,
really stupid, I think that would be a funny way to end that. And while as he is stepping out of the darkness, because everybody's gone, everyone thinks that Stone is defeated or whatever the then you have like you hear Eggman see something or something's behind him, and it's like Silver the Hedgehog, or whatever. But I think it would fix
even like the end reveal being something like Silver's been there like the whole time, because Silver is extremely naive. Like Silver's personality is like the Knuckles thing turned up to 1,000.
That's awesome.
Like his entire thing is he's manipulated the whole story.
That's
of
so
Sonic
cool.
06. Yeah. So like it could be a thing where like
maybe he's behind it.
It's like he's essentially Eggman has convinced him to like be his like test subject for like figuring out the time travel. Like maybe before the movie even starts, the time travel thing was like opened up because Silver already came back in time.
That
and
would be
Eggman
cool.
was like, "Oh, I bet I can figure this out."
Yeah.
And so like
he has a silver quill.
Right, yeah.
That would be funny,
that would be kind of
That'd
a cool
actually be kind of funny.
would be kind of a cool reveal.
I still sort of like the idea that maybe he's built Metal Sonic out of like either Amy's quill or like there's like other members of the Hedgehog clan or some that exist. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to me that, and I love the idea that the movie's just not going to be anything like this at all. Which would be very funny.
Yeah.
But it would be cool, and I think it would be the right thing to do. Jeff Fowler.
The right thing to do.
Please. What would you say?
Please,
Are we crying?
Jeff? No, I don't know how.
Have you ever tried like really hard?
Get out of there. Get out. When I'm possessed.
Me when I'm shitting.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, so that's your prediction, which is wrong. That's my prediction, which is better. Ultimately,
I like how you didn't say yours was right. You just said it was better.
yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie. So ultimately, I don't know. There's just a lot of things they could do with this movie. I just think that would be a very fun concept, proof of concept, is having those specific characters in that kind of storyline. But I am excited to see what happens.
Me too.
Regardless, I don't think I'll be too disappointed. Because I wasn't disappointed after Sonic 2. I enjoyed it.
Yep.
No, again, there was nothing to predicate that.
Yeah. But wasn't disappointed in Sonic 3.
Wasn't
which
just
had
definitely
a lot of things
that were different. Yeah. So yeah, I wasn't disappointed in either movie. So I'm sure whatever it is, it'll be fun. Just again, do what's right. Just make sure that the jiggle physics are accurate, is all I'm saying. I'm thinking Big the cat's ass cheeks. They independently have their own. What game is it? It's that
Dead or Alive Extreme.
Okay.
She's thinking of that. That was too.